Well. Brian Schottenheimer's introduction press conference. Started out a little shaky. Very boring in the beginning. But I am so excited. I've been saying this ever since I started this channel. If you are new here, welcome. Cowboy fans, Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. Oh man, we're gonna talk so many facts. In this interview, I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna give you some things, at least I believe I am. I'm gonna give you some things that nobody else is gonna give you about this press conference. There is a word that they could continue to use over and over and tells me everything I need to know about Mike McCarthy and why they made this change with Brian Schottenheimer. And I've been saying this, and everybody's been saying I'm crazy. I told y'all, and I'm telling y'all, the Dallas Cowboys will go to the Super Bowl in 2026, and they will win it. In 2025, you are going to watch the resurgence of the Dallas Cowboys. But in 2026, they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, they are going to the Super Bowl. So I'm just telling you right now. Stephen Jones said some things in this interview that were mind-blowing to me. I've never heard Stephen Jones talk like this. I've never heard Stephen Jones talk like this. I'm telling you, I'm not telling you I'm Nostradamus. I've been saying this, and people have been asking me, what make you think the Cowboys are going to win the Super Bowl in 2026? I'm going to let you hear exactly why. Now, I didn't know this because I just watched this today. Now I'm more convinced the Dallas Cowboys are going to and winning the Super Bowl. Not next year, but in 2026. And if everything goes according to plan, Dak Prescott is probably going to be the quarterback here for at least the next 4 years. They can get from under his contract in the next 3. I think it's going to be 4. This team, I'm telling y'all, man, let's get into this. Let me get some greetings out of the way first. I had to come on and do a special report. I'm coming back tonight too. I got videos to do because I got to pinpoint Stephen Jones. I have to give Stephen Jones his own video. Stephen Jones today sounded so different to me. But we're going to go through various pieces of the interview because I want you to catch on to something that was the theme of this particular interview. And I'm telling you, I am more convinced of why they let Mike McCarthy walk. Jerry Jones clarified it. No, they let Mike McCarthy walk, and I told you they did. Jerry Jones, I got to give him credit. He pushed back on James Slater hard today. There was some things said in this press conference letting us in on everything we need to know about what happened in this process. And this is why I keep telling y'all, if y'all want to listen to the media, if y'all want the same old answers, if y'all want the same old narratives, well, you can get them from everybody else. No, I'm talking facts because I got to listen to what is being said versus what's being done. And then that's how we get a whole picture. I'm excited, y'all. Let me get some greetings in here. Jose Quevedo, what's going on? Lord Nova 95, what's going on? Deborah, no, this is let me blow it up a little bit. Delta Rocks, what's going on? Appreciate you today. I'll get to some of your comments in a moment. Gregory from Texas, yes sir. Well. Bumpy T5X. What's going on? You know I'm from East Texas. My girl Niecy, what's going on with you? Yes, sir. Cowboy Thanos. Yes, I'm more than pleased. I'm excited. Todd Church, what's going on? Yes, sir. I'm telling you, I'm excited. King Parrish, what's going on? Nah, King Parrish, I don't think you heard. Maybe you heard something different. No, Stephen Jones. Stephen Jones had the answer of the day. Stephen Jones tore it up. I'm telling you. I'm gonna let you hear. Maybe you didn't watch it all, but I'm gonna show you what he said. Stephen Jones, I'm telling you, we ought to be excited about what Stephen Jones said. Jenny Scott in the crib. What's going on with you? Sam Jones, appreciate you. Quentin Scott, what's going on? Man, I'm telling you, I am fired up over this thing. D. Kizzle, yes, sir. Oh, I'm about to preach. Roger, what's going on, man? What's going on with you? I'm going to be calling you today, Roderick. I'm going to call you. We're going to be testing out we're going to test out the call-in. So I'll be using you as the guinea pig today. Wilson Santiago, what's going on now? Hey, man. Hey, Wilson, stop it. Stop it. Hey, all we can do, Wilson, and I'm going to talk about this later on in the week. You can't call it BS, Wilson. When a man speaks, you got to give him the opportunity. You have to give him the opportunity. When someone tells you they're going to do something, because I'm going to make a video about this. Stephen Jones. Now you got to cash that check. Stephen Jones has now got to cash that check because Stephen Jones wrote a check today. He got to cash it. Stephen Jones got to cash it. Stephen Jones has to cash that check. And if he don't cash that check, then he going to get all the smoke. He going to get all the smoke from everybody. And I'm telling y'all. So, let me get into my points here. Some of y'all are not excited. I'm going to inform you now. This is the wrong video for you. I'm going to inform you right now. This is the wrong video for you. This is the wrong live stream for you. If you're negative today, this is the wrong video for you. This is the wrong live stream for you today. Because I am telling you, I loved what I heard. I loved what I absolutely heard. I can't say I loved everything I heard. I mean, Jerry Jones, typical Jerry Jones stuff. Jerry's saying a lot of weird stuff. But they got warmed up towards the end. It seemed like they got the scripted stuff out of the way. The beginning of the interview to me, the press conference to me was blah, blah, blah. It was pretty, rigmarole stuff. They're kind of trying to get out the rehearsed stuff, of why I'm so glad for the opportunity and blah, blah, blah. But let's get down to business. Bobby Belt. Now, someone said Bobby Belt got released. Bobby Belt has not been released. I don't know where that news is, or maybe it's coming later. But Bobby Belt, for all intents and purposes, has not been released. But Bobby Belt, when he blew the top off Mike McCarthy, and he talked about how Mike McCarthy, paranoid of Dan Quinn, fighting with Kellen Moore, disagreements with Dak Prescott. They're saying he had a spy in the locker room, pushed Amari Cooper out. Mike McCarthy, y'all might not realize something. This dude is very insecure. Mike McCarthy is very insecure. Mike McCarthy is not only insecure, Mike McCarthy was not bringing the locker room together. Mike McCarthy was tearing the locker room down. Not only was he tearing the locker room down, contrary to what they've all been saying, Mike McCarthy, y'all, I can't go back and log all these videos, but when I first started this channel, y'all some of y'all might remember who's been there rocking with me from the beginning, and I appreciate it. One of the things that I talked about from the beginning is how Dak Prescott was calling out Mike McCarthy. He was talking about how much he liked Mike McCarthy, but didn't I tell you he couldn't stand his coaching? He couldn't stand his coaching. It was the things, it wasn't the things on the field, it was the things around the field. How he dealt with players, how he was dealing with players, how he was talking to players. And Dak was talking about these things, not practicing hard. What are people doing on and off the field? Dak was talking about this stuff. And I told y'all, I think they liked Mike McCarthy, the father figure, but they didn't like Mike McCarthy, the coach. And what I mean by the coach, what culture was he creating in the entire organization? Mike McCarthy, y'all, based on this interview or this press conference, there is one word they kept using over and over and over: communication. Why did they keep using the word communication? Why? Brian Schottenheimer kept mentioning communication, culture. Communication and culture. It tells us that what Bobby Belt actually brought to light. This was the issue with Mike McCarthy. This insecure man was not galvanizing. And I've even said this over the last couple of weeks. I was glad he was gone. I didn't think he was a good play caller, not a motivator of men. And this is even what they were talking about too. He was not a motivator of men. Jerry, if you'd have done just a little bit more homework, you'd have knew this about Mike McCarthy. It's the very reason why they let him walk in Green Bay. Mike McCarthy, poor communicator. What is a poor communicator? I'm doing a sermon series next month on how husbands and wives should treat one another. What is a poor communicator? A poor communicator in relationships is someone who they don't communicate to you problems. They don't communicate to you their feelings. They don't communicate to you what they need, what they may want, things that maybe they got a misunderstanding with you on. You know what these people do? Instead of being good communicators, they become insecure. And in their insecurity, everything seems like a conspiracy theory against them. Everything in their eyes, everybody's against me. Oh, they're trying to do this or someone's trying to do that. Poor communicators. They wear their emotions on their shoulders. What's wrong? Nothing. Oh, nothing wrong. And then they'll persist to act a certain type of way towards you. And you can feel the vibe. And you're like, something ain't right here. I keep asking this person, like, what's wrong? What's going on? Blah, blah, blase, blase. They tell me nothing wrong, but their actions are showing me something different. Giving you the cold shoulder, short with you, telling you things that you know are not true, try to inflate what you believe, but then their actions are not matching. Well, I told y'all this, even in some of Mike McCarthy's press conferences, you could hear Mike McCarthy fighting with the front office. You could always tell when it's something where it's Mike would say, I believe. But then when he's talking about what's coming from up top or maybe the pushback he's getting in certain areas, all of a sudden Mike will say, well, I keep saying, we need to run. Wait, hold on. What do you mean you keep saying we need to run the ball? Who are you talking to? Because the fan base is screaming, run the ball, but you keep saying we need to run the ball. Who are you talking to? The front office and Mike McCarthy were at odds. Jerry Jones said something at the end that was mind-blowing to me. He said, we wanted, and I quote, we wanted Brian Schottenheimer to call plays. What? We wanted him to. I said this during this whole little fiasco towards the end. I was actually surprised that they didn't take the play calling away from him during the football season. Watch this. Another stipulation Jerry let us in on. Okay, Mike McCarthy, let me tell y'all something. They were chopping Mike McCarthy down like a tree. They were chopping him down, y'all. shorter contract. Jason Witten. And I told y'all I wouldn't be surprised if also in that conversation was, you're not calling plays no more, because Jerry Jones said it flat out. It was one of the main reasons they wanted Schotty to call plays. Mike McCarthy, I'm telling you. Mike McCarthy walked away from the Cowboys, and the Cowboys walked away from Mike McCarthy because the Cowboys basically were saying all you're going to be is a figurehead. Nothing more, nothing less. We're going to keep you for continuity. But we want Brian Schottenheimer to call plays and stay in the building for change. They kept mentioning communication and culture. Let's go to this first shot on this video. Watch this. I was blown away at how many times they kept saying communication, communication, communication. What are you saying? There was no communication before this. Mike McCarthy was insecure. And he had created a culture that kept talking about communication and culture. This man had created a culture of distrust. A culture of distrust and a culture of no communication. Listen to this.
Dak, JT, JB, Demo, Brock, T-Sizz, Josh Butler, Kalen, Carson, Scooney, you're back there. I don't know if anybody else snuck in that I missed. It means the world to me that you guys are here. And I can't wait to do this alongside you, to get to know you guys at an even deeper level. I want to get to know your hearts. I want to capture your hearts and let you guys get a great feel for me. But thank you for being here. It means the world to me. Quickly about culture.
Immediately. He goes into culture. Wait a minute. He makes a point. He mentions all the players who have come to his press conference. Notice what he said. I want to know your hearts. Let me tell you something. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure if this is going to communicate. But this man is talking about something different than Mike McCarthy. This man is talking about relationships. And relationships are built upon people knowing each other, knowing what makes each other tick, knowing how to push buttons. But watch this part. And also knowing how to unpush buttons. See, some folk know how to push a button. They don't know how to unpush it. Sometimes in a relationship, for folks who's been married, I've been married 25 years. Me and my wife know each other good enough now. I'm so smart when it comes to my wife. I not only know how to push her button, I know how to unpush her button. I'm so smart when it comes to my wife, I even know when she's trying to push my button so I don't let her push my button. This is how you stay in relationships. This is how relationships get good. And when I see her trying to push my button, you know what I say? Hold on a second. What's wrong? Nothing. Come on, stop it. What's wrong? You build a culture, even in your marriage, a culture of communication, openness, honesty, love, truth. He immediately goes for the jugular vein. Let me talk to you about culture. Mike McCarthy was a bleeping cancer. And that's why I'm telling you this team couldn't get over the hump. This man didn't create a brotherhood. He didn't create a family. You got to create a brotherhood and a family when it comes to a franchise. And just, if anybody watched this thing, you could hear Mike McCarthy wasn't bringing it together. And actually, this dude was the liaison between all of them. Player, coach. Upstairs, coach. Man, they said this dude even facilitated Mike McCarthy getting in the last year because they were ready to walk away from him. What? This is why they hired him. Listen.
Things that I believe in. the family first mantra, which is embodied by the Jones family. To do and make the sacrifices that we make in order to pursue excellence, it requires the sacrifice, and you need to make it fun. My conversation with the Joneses has been incredible. We see football the same way. It's a first-class organization all the way. You can't. I've never been in the big room, Jerry. Steve, I've never been in the big room. But it's first-class organization. But please understand this: a first-class organization is not just about the structure or the walls. It's about the way that we treat one another, about the way that we earn each other's trust and respect, and the way we just treat our fans. We treat the people that matter to us most.
Do you hear what he's highlighting? Everything Mike McCarthy wasn't. Culture, family. He's talking about, this is actually the talk we've been listening for. And for all intents and purposes, Bobby Belt said this morning, I'm telling you, man, I got so many videos to do to just really inform y'all, to really get y'all excited about this Cowboys season coming up. Because Bobby Belt said that he even called around talking about this man. And he said that everywhere he called, the one thing you're not going to have to worry about with Brian Schottenheimer, whatever part of the ball he was over, they're always ready. They're always prepared. They're locked in. This is locked in talk. Dak Prescott was telling us this stuff, and we were not paying attention in the press conferences. Mike McCarthy didn't have this doggone team locked in. You know why this team, especially under Mike McCarthy, was all men for themselves? Because he was all for himself. He was trying to solidify things he wanted. And this team, whether we accept it or not, this is why I'm excited about this team, because it won in spite of Mike McCarthy. And if you listen to the press conference, they're actually giving Schotty all the credit for 2023. What? They're giving Schotty the credit for 2023 and the Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb dominance of the league in 2023 and the turnaround. They're giving that to Schotty. So if you think about the previous two seasons, that was Kellen Moore. People want to dog Kellen Moore, but that was Kellen Moore. And the one season that we're saying, well, Dak Prescott improved exponentially over Kellen Moore, which he didn't. It was actually similar and eerily similar to the 2021 season. It was eerily similar. And with one less game, Kellen Moore accomplished the same thing. But because people hate Dak Prescott and they want to like poo-poo his numbers, but they didn't have any choice but to recognize it in 2023. But the crazy thing is, in 2021, the Cowboys won 12 games that season. Y'all got to stop listening to the media. They'll make you think a dog is a squirrel. They're giving Schottenheimer the credit for 2023. Not Mike McCarthy. And we dogging Kellen Moore and he in the Super Bowl. And I don't care what anyone says. He called a fabulous game the other day. Fabulous game last night. They're telling us everything this man kept saying, everything Jerry kept saying, they were talking about the problem with Mike McCarthy. Stu was a culture killer. He was a culture killer. And that's why this is all they kept talking about. Communication, culture, communication, culture.
What I'm going to challenge these guys to do is to let their personalities shine. We've got some incredible, incredible players. We've got incredible support staff. The strength staff is here. That means the world to me. You guys took the time to come up here. But to do what we need to do, it's going to take incredible amounts of hard work, but we're going to do it together.
Just listen what he keeps saying. And remember, Y'all might not remember, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Jane Slater said she talked to an anonymous player talking about the strength and conditioning and the recovery team. Look who's there. Look who's there. Schottenheimer, what he's doing is genius. He's shouting out everyone who has come to support him at the press conference. Y'all got to understand psychology. As a person with a master's, I understand this, what he's doing. This is how you bring people together. You bring people together by encouraging them, helping them to understand how important they are to you, how important they are in the process. That each and every part, I told y'all, down to the ball boy or ball girl, this is how you have to build a franchise, top to the bottom. The problem now, and I'm telling you, Brian Schottenheimer, I believe, is going to help fix this part. The problem with this franchise, all we bleep and do is talk about the quarterback. It's stupid. It's stupid. All we do is talk about the quarterback. And it looks like now with Brian Schottenheimer, I think this man, I don't know. It sounds like he may have gotten to the Joneses because we're going to see there are some things that they start to say I haven't heard him say before. But what Shotty is doing is genius. It's genius. He's making sure everyone understands. Unlike this toxic part of the Dallas Cowboy fan base. No, it's all on Dak. No, he's saying we are going to turn this around. Not me. Brian isn't saying me. I'm not going to turn this around. We're going to turn this around. And I'm going to help us to understand that it's going to take we to turn it around. This is why I'm telling you, the toxic part of this fan base, I wouldn't want nothing to do with them. I would never be on a team with them. When you tell me it's all about, just like some people try to tear down the Philadelphia Eagles, oh, it's only Saquon Barkley. You don't know what a team is. It takes a whole team for Saquon Barkley to be the best that he can be. It takes a whole team for a player to be the best that he can be. It's one thing when he's got a lot of natural ability, but when the team is behind what the team is doing, it helps everybody to shine when it's time to shine. I'm telling you. They're telling us everything we need to know. Mike McCarthy, in spite of those 3 12-win seasons, they were smoke and mirrors. There's a reason why we kept failing. And Kellen Moore almost got us over the hump in 2022. I believe if Tony Pollard don't break his leg, it's different. But even then, they're doing this in spite of Mike McCarthy.
Our team, the Dallas Cowboys, will be driven by a competitive spirit and a love for one another. Lastly, I would be remiss.
Why is he saying this? Why is he saying this? Why is he saying a competitive spirit and a love for one another? He's not just saying things that sound good. Bobby Belt has already verified this. And Jerry Jones verifies this in the interview of all the people they called about Brian Schottenheimer. This is what this guy does. This is what he does in locker rooms. There are the players who have played for him. They're vouching for him. Across the board, players that have played for him are vouching for how he is, how he builds the culture in locker rooms. And I'm telling you, after coming from Mike McCarthy, y'all do not realize we have been watching this team melt down even more than it has been. Some of these epic meltdowns they've been having. How you feel going into battle matters. And we have seen this and we know it. For 3 seasons, Mike McCarthy could not capture the attention of this team the way he needed to. And that's why that they were failing. It wasn't just Dak Prescott. No, the team. They were so up and down, depending upon the moment. They didn't have the right mindset to say, no, we can do this and we're going to do this. Like Michael Irvin talked about in his rant. You do it as a team and you hold each other accountable. This team wasn't holding each other accountable the right way. Michael Parsons on the sideline, D-Law told him, shut the F up. Why? Because you're talking too much, man. You're talking selfishly. Now, if you want to talk in a manner to where you galvanize our defense, I'm listening. But all your other talk, shut the F up, is what he told him. Michael Parsons leaving the sideline early during one of the games this year. I forget which one it was. I think it was a Cincinnati Bengals game. Somebody should have told him, don't you ever do that again. See, some people like that kind of stuff, not me. I'd have called him in the office and said, you ever do that again on this team? I'll trade you, man, I'll trade you to the worst team in the league, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'll trade you to the worst team in the league, and I'll get 3 first-round draft picks for you, and I won't even look back. I wouldn't tolerate that stuff. The coach shouldn't have tolerated that stuff. The coach should have went to Jerry Jones and said, this is nonsense. I'm telling you. But all of that is happening because some of these players, and Micah Parsons, I hope that Brian can help him because Micah is one of these self-centered players. I believe he wants to win, but somebody's got to teach him how to do it. How do you proceed? Don't step on your team by trying to make yourself into the leader of the team. No, calm down, bro. There's a way we need to do this. And I'm telling you, how can Michael do any better when he's watching Mike McCarthy do stupid stuff like Mike McCarthy's doing some of the same stupid stuff? I'm telling you, they're telling us everything we needed to hear in this interview about Mike McCarthy. I want to move forward into this thing because I want to get to these other points that I thought were incredible. Because Brian, the funny thing about the interview is, if anybody watched it, I mean, Brian to me really didn't do a lot of talking, because a lot of these questions were actually to Jerry Jones. But my takeaway about Brian Schottenheimer, I wrote these down. The takeaway about Brian Schottenheimer is they were looking for somebody who could improve the relationships in the locker room between coach and players and coach and players in the front office. Because they're talking like there was a disconnect between the front office and the coach and between the coach and the players. This is why this story about all of a sudden it comes out about Shotty was the communicator between Mike McCarthy and the players to get Mike McCarthy to trust the players. And so Stephen Jones said something. Let me get to the Stephen Jones portion, because Stephen Jones said something that I thought was powerful. Because Stephen Jones, a lot of times he's just talking. I'm kind of like, I don't really get into what Stephen Jones says. Stephen Jones said that he was the perfect combination of continuity and change. Continuity and change. As in, there wouldn't be a huge change per se in some of the things that we think we do well. But there will be a change as it pertains to the things, because notice what Jerry said. Jerry said Mike left some good things here, but there's obvious that he left some bad things here. And so the bad things he left here, they want Brian Schottenheimer to change. They want Brian Schottenheimer to change it. So let me cue up Stephen Jones. I don't know about y'all, but I really thought that Stephen Jones, I thought that Stephen Jones really gave the things to me that were the most informative. I mean, Jerry's one of these guys, you have to kind of, when Jerry talk, you kind of have to like sift through it. But I thought Stephen Jones said the things to me that were the most impressive. Let me get to Stephen Jones. Because the stuff Jerry was saying, I get it, Jerry, but man, Jerry, boy, Jerry. Y'all hold on a second. I'm going to get to some more of your comments. I want to hear what you got to say. Okay. Let me see if this is the first part of Stephen Jones.
It looked like, and that was a big change for me, and one that I'm excited about moving forward.
And then for Stephen and Jerry, what do you guys need to do differently to support Brian and to end the 29-year drought that you guys have between going to a Super Bowl?
Y'all hold on a second. Stephen Jones, the Dallas Cowboy fan base are going to hold you to this. The Dallas Cowboy fan base, we got to hold him accountable for what he's about to say. I thought this was the best part of the whole interview. What do you need to do to help Brian be successful?
Well, I think you always have to evaluate, where it didn't go right last year. And obviously we're also evaluating where it didn't go right, in terms of, this drought that people say we're in terms of a championship game or a Super Bowl. And, we just have to continue to make this roster better. It'll certainly be something that Jerry, myself, Will and his staff, and now Coach Schotty and his staff, we'll sit down and take a look and see what we have to do better. I think we got a lot of great pieces. You ask why Schotty? I think Schotty's the perfect combination of keeping some continuity, but also affecting change. And we have to support that as well.
Those two words are almost in opposition of each other, but I understand it. Continuity. The things that we like that we do. But now you're hearing Stephen Jones says, but the change, the things that we're not doing right. And he mentioned putting together a roster. Putting together a roster. And I told y'all, and some people do not understand what I'm telling you, they have no choice. And Stephen Jones is going to mention this. They literally have no choice. They have 30 free agents and 30 unrestricted, restricted free agents. The majority are unrestricted. This team looks different. They're not re-signing all those players. They're going to have to replace them. And the only place they can literally replace them, they only have 10 draft picks. The only place they can replace those players is free agency. But listen to Stephen Jones. He's not just talking about that part of it. No, he's making some bold promises in a sense.
In terms of being behind him and doing the things he wants to do. I've walked in Schotty's shoes. I have a lot of deference in myself as well, working with Jerry. Schotty did the same with Mike. Would he do things different? Is he going to do things different than Mike? Absolutely. I'm convinced of that. And, I think we got a great plan on defense. I think we got a great plan on special teams. We're putting that all together. That has to come together as a staff, and certainly Schotty leads that. And as he said, some of his best characteristics are communications and working with people. And I see that. I've taken that in. I've gotten more respect through this process with him, and also talking to other men about the job. But certainly we'll do a real deep dive on putting some personnel together, whether it be through the draft, free agency. I know, typically that's not been the way we've done this team, but we'll certainly look at it and, put really good, not only players, but good football character people with some of the men we have in this room right now. And we have a lot of great players on this team. And certainly no one has excuses. We had a few challenges this year on the injury front, and that's why we think we do need to keep some continuity. Certainly every team, when they're looking for a coach out there, is looking, what's in the best interest of the quarterback. Certainly that played a role here. And, Dak's not making any coaching decisions, nor does he want to. But I can tell you every team who made a coaching decision was looking at how they solved for the quarterback. And, that's how you win in this league. I think we've got one of the best, if not the best, in terms of our quarterback. And he's the ultimate leader. And we just have to continue to put the pieces around. And
Hold on. Stop the press. Say it again, Stephen Jones. Finally, Stephen Jones is saying exactly what we need him to say. We need to put players around him. And did you hear what they're saying about Mike Schottenheimer? This thing with Mike Schottenheimer, y'all, it's bigger than X's and O's. It's bigger than X's and O's. The Cowboys, at least it seems to me, they've come to the realization you're going to win games with Dak Prescott. Whether people accept this, what I'm telling you, or not, I don't care if you do. They understand something. I actually think Stephen Jones is being sincere. There is no denying, statistically, analytically, wins, Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback. You can get mad all you want to. Dak Prescott's a top 5 quarterback. You can tell me who you'll take, but I laugh when people tell me who they take. Oh, I'll take this quarterback. I'll take Tua. I'll take Trevor. I'll take Justin Herbert. And they can't even compare to Dak Prescott and what he's achieved in this league. They can't even compare. But we'll say we'll take him. Why? Because you hate Dak Prescott? Stupid. Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback in this league. He may be number 5 if you want to put him behind Mahomes, Allen, Jackson, Burrow. It's Dak Prescott. It's Dak Prescott. Other than those 4, you can't legitimately say, other than your opinion and your emotion, that anybody other than those are better than Dak Prescott. And I could argue easily that there are 2 of those quarterbacks that I would take Dak Prescott over on that top 5 list. Stephen Jones is now understanding something. And I told y'all thought that, he likes the Philadelphia Eagles. No. We got a vested interest in the Philadelphia Eagles. And I kept telling y'all this. There is a vested interest in the Philadelphia Eagles, and I want them to go to the Super Bowl and obliterate the Kansas City Chiefs. Why? Because I like the Eagles? Please, stop it. Patrick Mahomes is from East Texas, where I'm from. I would love to see Patrick Mahomes win in any other situation, not this one. The Joneses need to see what it looks like when you put a team around a quarterback who is arguably not better than your quarterback. Jalen Hurts only does one thing better than Dak Prescott, run the ball. Everything else, Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott. But when you put a team around Jalen Hurts, which they have now done twice, and in both instances, Super Bowl. Both instances. And now he got a chance to really win one. He almost won one the first time against Patrick Mahomes. I think he wins this one. I think they're going to win this one. Why? Because they didn't say stupidly like the Dallas Cowboys been saying, we only go as far as Dak Prescott take us. No, Howie Roseman said, hold on a second. This is not about how far Jalen Hurts can take us. What kind of team can we put around Jalen Hurts so we don't have to say how far can Jalen Hurts take us? The Philadelphia Eagles went and got arguably the best player available in free agency in 2024, and it was none other than Saquon Barkley. And we could have got the second best player available in free agency, and we refused to do it, and it was Derrick Henry. We could have got Saquon Barkley too. And don't let nobody fool you. We could have easily fit that contract that he has. We could have easily got that contract with the Dallas Cowboys. We didn't want it. But you know what? That's water under the bridge. Now we got a grand opportunity. This draft, I'm sorry. If you don't get a running back in this draft saying you want a run game, you're a liar. It's loaded with running backs. Even if you don't get Ashton Genty, there are at least 10 home run hitters in this draft. I'm not talking about good running backs. I'm talking about home run hitters. Bump their head on the goalpost and knock the camera off. Wide receivers in this draft. The only place this draft isn't loaded is quarterback. We don't need the quarterback. This draft is loaded. Stephen Jones got to cash this check. Stephen Jones has to cash this check, y'all. He does. He's just told us, now you know what the team needs. So now what are you going to do? Because we all heard you say it. I have not heard Stephen Jones talk like this. Stephen Jones, when Mike McCarthy is on his way out, oh, get ready. Next year it's going to be more of the same. Isn't that strange? It seems like when there was a possibility of Mike McCarthy staying, y'all get ready for more of the same. Because we're pretty much not going to do anything because of the salary cap. Well, we're not going to do anything. All of a sudden now, not only Stephen, but Jerry, both. I could not believe it. Jerry Jones actually said, we must do better with the salary cap. What? Jerry Jones even admitted it. Stephen Jones. We got to hold him to the carpet. I'm going to read some of your comments. We got to hold him to the carpet. We do. We got to hold him to the carpet. I'm going somewhere towards the middle. Let me go back just a little bit here. Okay, Nisi, here we go. Nisi says Dak didn't call him out like Troy, and that's what people want. You're talking about Mike McCarthy? And you think about it, Nisi. Dak did it as friendly as he could with Mike McCarthy. Dak did it as friendly as he could with Mike McCarthy, but Dak was screaming, and I told everybody this. Dak was screaming, this dude is not a good coach. I mean, I like him as a dude, but he's not a good coach. And that's why Dak made that blunder. See, Dak, I think Dak might have been misinformed because Dak says, well, let him come back and do it his way. And then Mike McCarthy said, I have been doing it my way. And even Bobby Belt comes about after the season and says, y'all don't realize this man has been doing it his way. Even they're saying, y'all don't understand. Mike McCarthy has been doing some of these things his way, and they're not working. And it's like they're all screaming, we're winning in spite of this man. Drew 92, every head coach is insecure. This is why they want their own people. Dak is a company man. Dak is a company man. Dak had no issue when they were winning. So Jerry Jones is not insecure. Hey, let me tell you something. I'm not sure Dak didn't have an issue when they were winning. I think that's a heavy assumption, Drew 912. No, I don't. I think Dak, Drew 912. Understand what Bobby Belt explained. Understand what they're saying. No, I disagree with you. I think they all had an issue even when they were winning. And that's why it wasn't translating. What was I saying? Why haven't they won the big games? Why were they not winning in the playoffs? See, you can go lackadaisical into certain situations during the season because you're better than some teams and you can win. But when it comes to the good teams, you got to be locked in. You have to be locked in. Let me give you an example. Let me show you what locked in looks like. Sean McVay took the Los Angeles Rams into Philadelphia in the snow and almost beat them. You know why? Locked in. Locked in. They were absolutely locked in and on board, and they believed they could beat the Philadelphia Eagles. They were locked in. Dan Quinn, coach of the year. Dan Quinn had his team absolutely locked in. This man comes onto a team, builds a culture, overachieves with a rookie quarterback, wins 12 games, wins 2 playoff games. The only thing that stopped him yesterday, reality set in. They came up against a way better team. Y'all might hate the Eagles. They're not marginally better than the Commanders and any other. No, they were, and I was saying this even with Detroit. The Eagles were built to win the Super Bowl, period, in the story. The Commanders ran up against a better team, but Dan Quinn had them locked in. But the Eagles are just better. They made them. No, they didn't turn the ball over. The Eagles made them turn the ball over with the things they were doing. The Eagles are a well-coached team, and they got players. They have players. And Dak was complaining, especially this year. No, this team was not locked in. It wasn't locked in. And you're right. Dak is a company man. Dak and Mike McCarthy were having problems behind the scenes. But it was when McCarthy took over the play calling, and then Schottenheimer, the liaison between them, seems like he got everybody on the same page, and then they started winning. And everything turned around. But now that everything's come crumbling down, the cockroaches are running out in the light, and now we're seeing the issue was this man was not building a culture. He was destroying it. And I'm telling you, as a person who used to be in management for years, now as a person who is not only bachelor's, master's, and studying how people will operate, let me tell you something about people. People perform better when the atmosphere around them is better. There's a reason why people say, hey, raise your children in a 2-parent home. Why? Because it helps with their psyche. The support system is better when the family dynamic is supportive, when the family builds, where the family builds the encouragement in the child, when the family holds the child accountable, when the family helps that child set the standard, when that family is doing all of those things, you will see a lot of times those children, man, they will excel on levels that are insane. Even when they're not the most talented. It is important what they're talking about. Mike McCarthy, while he might have been some form of father figure, terrible coach. And this is what they're all screaming. Terrible coach. Nah, Raymond, at the end of the day, I don't have to talk myself into anything. There are a chain of events that have been happening, and they're talking about it in this press conference. The chain of events have really made them understand something. The Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles, both in an NFC Championship game. And they both are doing it with ex-coaches from the Dallas Cowboys. Not just ex-players, as in the Commanders, but ex-coaches, which has more than any other year I can remember, has illuminated their shortcoming. I'm telling y'all, this is why I had been saying this. It is in our vested interest that the Philadelphia Eagles win. It was in our vested interest. Because the Joneses need to see something. You're the problem. You're the problem. because you're the one not building the team. You're the one mismanaging the cap. You're the one doing all these things. Look at what it looks like when two of your coaches go to teams to where they're willing to work with them and do things they need. It's a difference. And I'll tell you another reason why I'm very confident in what I'm saying. And it's not about the foolishness of the Joneses. Jerry kept saying a key phrase. This is very risky. Kept saying it. This is very risky. So what do you do when you take a risk? When you take a risk on something or someone, what do? For example, in your own life, what do? There's a risk of walking out the door every day, going to your job, going to the grocery store, going home. You take a risk whether you realize it or not. Anything can happen. So what do? We get insurance. We get insurance. We make sure our wife don't drive the raggedy car. We drive the raggedy car because we don't want our wife breaking down on the way to work, on the way to the grocery store, on the way to do whatever she's doing. We make sure the wife don't have the raggedy car. We make sure we put alarm systems on our houses. We make sure in Texas, y'all, we open carry. So it's open carry in Texas. So you get you a nice little holster, you get you a nice little bag, and then you carrying that, you know what I'm saying? You do things because you know you're taking a risk so that you can be successful in what you're doing. You do things to limit the risk. We talked about this last night. Welcome to the channel, Johnny. Not Johnny. Welcome to the channel, Drew. I think I have seen you, but if I haven't, welcome to the channel. We talked about this last night. They're already doing something that they did not do in the past. As far as I can remember, they're trying to insulate. Brian Schottenheimer with, at least in what their eyes are, the best assistants in the game. I want to see who the coaches are going to be now, because Matt Eberflus, DC, that's a good hire. Period. End of story. Eberflus is a good hire. Eberflus with players is going to look different than he's looked in the past. Eberflus with Micah Parsons. Eberflus with Deron Bland. Eberflus, please go and sign Odigizua. And whatever they do in free agency in the draft, Eberflus is going to look different in Dallas. It's obvious, even though they're looking for an offensive coordinator. Jerry already clarified it. No, the reason why Schottenheimer is here is to build a culture, and Jerry said to call plays. Jerry wants him to call plays. They like his philosophy in play calling. They do. And Schotty, one thing about Schotty, he'll run the ball. Schotty is going to run the ball. He's going to bring back the play action. He's going to bring in the motion. All the stuff, amazingly, that Mike McCarthy started doing after week 6 in 2023. So it was Schottenheimer. They're going to do something for Schottenheimer. And I think they did it for McCarthy, but I think McCarthy ticked him off when he orchestrated and ran Amari Cooper out of town. Did y'all notice? When he ran Amari Cooper out of town, they never got him anybody else. They're going to get Schottenheimer another wide receiver. You watch what I tell you. Mark my words. They're going to get this man another wide receiver. They're going to get him a running game. Book it. They're getting this man a running game. And if Ashton Jeanty is there at 12, they're getting Ashton Jeanty. They're getting him. If they don't get Jeanty, they're going to get Omarion Hampton. They are going to facilitate this man because they want to prove they're right now. This is the exact mode we want them in. We want them in prove it mode. Because they want to prove Brian Schottenheimer was the right decision. They want to prove it. And that's what you're hearing Stephen Jones say. They want to prove it. They're going to insulate this man, I'm telling you. They're going to insulate him, and they're going to try to get him the best assistance they can get him. They're going to insulate him. I'm telling you, I want to see the staff they're going to put around him, because that's going to be important, and they know it's important. I want to see it. I want to see it. Nisi said, I'm mad every offseason and don't get excited until half of the first game. And Nisi, tell me if I'm wrong. This seems different. The Mike McCarthy press conference, it's not even rememberable. This, Stephen Jones is saying some things. Haven't heard this man talking. Haven't heard this man saying stuff like this. I think Stephen Jones and Jerry are rubbed the wrong way because of the success of Dan Quinn and Kellen Moore. I think they're rubbed the wrong way. I think this has put them in a mood. And now they've come along, and now they've gotten Brian Schottenheimer. And I'm telling you, now I understand why they got Brian Schottenheimer. They were convinced, as it pertained to play calling, Brian Schottenheimer was good enough to call plays. They were convinced of that. They were convinced, hey, this guy here, we wanted him to call plays during the season. But Mike McCarthy get all up in his doggone feelings. And if we brought him back, we could bring him back as the OC. But they also liked what they saw of him during the season, as in how he was a relationship builder. He's a communicator, a relationship builder. They like what they saw. And because they like the combination of the play calling and the ability to communicate, because this is all everybody keeps saying. Everybody is of the same consensus when it comes to one Shotty. He's great with people. He's a great communicator. So they're thinking, so let's take that and let's put that on a grand scale. Because if he does that with his player group, if he does that when he comes in as a consultant, and he builds great relationships offensively and defensively, so how about we raise the level of that? How about we make him the head coach? Let him do some of the things he was already doing when Mike McCarthy was here. Jose, but wait a minute. Let me follow up. You said Jerry kept mentioning the Super Bowl, getting ahead of himself, but we have to wait and see what Shotty can do. But wait a minute. Y'all know what's strange? Somebody had mentioned this. This was one of the first seasons. Mike Fisher. This is one of the first seasons that Jerry was never talking Super Bowl. I mean, Jerry never talked Super Bowl this year. And as disappointed as Jerry said he was that they didn't make the playoff run with Cooper Rush, but Jerry had said before that it was actually insane that they could make the playoffs. He said it was a long, long shot. It was crazy. But he's talking Super Bowl. Why is he talking Super Bowl all of a sudden? I'm telling y'all, these doggone Philadelphia Eagles, y'all, not just the Eagles and the Commanders, two teams in the NFC, Jerry and Steven are realizing something. Man, if we don't do something, we're going to be nothing. We will literally be nothing over the next 5 years unless we do something right now. The Cowboys have got to start now. This is why I'm telling y'all, this is the perfect storm. 30 unrestricted and restricted free agents is going to force them to do something in free agency. It forces them to do it. They're going to have to build a team. They're going to have to do it. This is exactly what Steven said. They have to build it through free agency. They don't have a choice. They got to get it to the point that when they get to the draft, that they don't have to build the team through the draft. So they have to do it. They have no choice. And so in free agency, it almost even sounds like, I'll be shocked if they do a day one. I'll be shocked. I will not be surprised. maybe a day 2. Probably some day 3s for sure. And then we know the Dallas Cowboys, they're going to stay true to some of the things they do. And then they're going to do the bottom of the barrel stuff. But they're going to try to build that roster through free agency. And Dak Prescott has been hinting at a big fish. Who knows? Hope it's not. I don't want the Cowboys to go in free agency trying to get a wide receiver unless it would be somebody like a Devontae Adams. No hate on Stephon Diggs. I do not want Stephon Diggs and Trayvon Diggs on the same team. And Stephon Diggs is kind of, I don't think I don't want Stephon. I mean, it's not my team to make that choice. But if I had a choice, Stephon Diggs, I would not want Stephon Diggs joining the Dallas Cowboys. I want them to go do this in through the draft. Cowboys Thanos says the players need to buy in, and that's it. They went 3 straight 12-5 seasons in spite of. And Cowboys Thanos, tell me this isn't a buy-in. They were at the press conference. Jay Recruiter and Nisi have both pointed this out on different occasions. Let me tell you about Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is a shrewd operator. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a psychology major. You don't think he understood the importance of him being there for Brian Schottenheimer? He knows exactly what he's doing. Dak Prescott knows exactly what he's doing. He needed to be at that press conference, showing his support. Drew 912, you're right. He's a company man, but he's also a psychology major. And he understands him being there was a big deal. It is and it was. It's a huge, huge deal. People are so focused on Jerry. Listen to the coach. Nisi said this before. The first couple of years, the Cowboys going to get a coach some leeway. Brian Schottenheimer, they're going to set this man up to succeed. They're going to set him up to succeed. You can tell by the way they're talking, they're going to set him up to succeed. Let me let you hear some more, Steven. I'm going to go through some of your comments, put some on the screen, and then I'm going to discuss some of them.
You know, we're not naive. I know our fans, they're not going to believe, and there's going to be pressure until we get the job done. And certainly we didn't get the job done this year, and our ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl. I can tell you, I've never seen a man more driven than Jerry. This is huge to him to go get this championship. And I know Coach Schottenheimer believes the same thing, and I know our players sitting in the back want it. I mean, they want it. They're driven to get it, and we've got to get the right people to put around them. We'll have turnover in our roster like we do every year, and our goal is to put together the best roster in the NFL.
Steve Spurrier told me.
Wait. Hold on. I've never heard Stephen Jones say this. Maybe I'm crazy. I've never heard Stephen Jones say, our goal is to put together the best roster in the NFL. Now, you want to know why Stephen Jones is saying our goal is to put together the best roster in the NFL? I'm about to say something that some of y'all not going to agree with. I don't care. There are arguably 2 teams in the NFL that has the best roster. The Detroit Lions, they lost the battle of attrition. Their defense got decimated. And they limped into the playoffs with that defense. But there's another team in the NFC. And I've been saying this all along this season. There is one team in the NFL, and they are literally the best roster in the NFL, and they're in the Super Bowl, and it's not the Kansas City Chiefs. No, they have a very good roster with the best quarterback in the league, but the best roster in the league is the Philadelphia Eagles, bar none. Bar none. Bar none. The Philadelphia Eagles, pound for pound, position by position, they have the best roster in the league. 2 wideouts, check. Tight end, check. Running backs, check. Home run hitting running back, check. Dual threat quarterback, check. Defensive line, check. Secondary, check. Linebackers, check. They have the whole gamut. What don't the Eagles have? What don't they have? They literally have the best roster. The best roster. Now, you can go through and nitpick and say, well, they don't have the best quarterback. Okay, fine. Oh, well, they're wide receiver. A.J. Brown is not a top 5 wide receiver. Okay, fine. Devontae Smith is not a top 5 receiver. Okay, but here's why I'll blow back on you. But tell me who has the best wide receiver duo in the league. Tell me who it is. Tell me what team that comes to mind that has a better duo than the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll wait. There are very few teams that have 2 wide receivers that are that good. Would you rather be what we are, top heavy? We got a top 3 wide receiver, and then every receiver below him is not even top 100? Or would you rather say, hey, you know what? Rather than having the best wide receiver in the league or a top 3 wide receiver, well, what if we have like the 10th best wide receiver in the league and the 12th best receiver in the league? I'll take it. I'll take it. Maybe y'all, some of us don't understand math, but 2 are better than 1. I'll take it every day of the week. Oh, and then you're telling me you're gonna pair that with Gainwell, who was already good being here. Oh, now you're going to give us Saquon Barkley with those 2 wide receivers and Goddard? Oh, yes, sir. I'll take it every day of the week over anything anyone else has. The reason why Steven is saying this, the team with the best roster in the NFL, it's the Eagles. It's the Eagles. I've been saying this and saying this. They have the best roster in the league. And if there's any team that's built to beat the Chiefs, Howie Roseman built the Eagles to beat the Chiefs. Man, I'm telling you, I will not be surprised if Saquon Barkley is not. I'll be shocked if he's not the MVP of the Super Bowl. Saquon Barkley is going to have between him and Jalen Hurts. Because Jalen Hurts would have won the MVP, and they were arguably wanting to give it to him in a loss. Jalen Hurts had an MVP performance in the last Super Bowl. You put Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley against that same team that they lost to 38-35, I promise you it's different. I'm telling y'all, and I'm telling you, and I'm telling you. The Kansas City Chiefs, with all the help they get from the referees, they better not allow the Philadelphia Eagles to take them to the end again. Because the Eagles are built to beat you at the end. They're the worst team in the league to let them have the last drive with 4 minutes to go. You're in trouble. You're in danger of a home run hit. You're in danger when they get in 3rd and 2. You're in danger when they get in 4th and 1. You're in danger when you get in 2nd and 8. You're in danger when you get in 3rd and 6 because of the wideouts and the tight end. You're in danger with that team. You're in danger because the quarterback, he squats 600 pounds. You're not bringing him down with arm tackles. You're in danger playing them. Why? They have the best roster in the NFL. There's a reason why Stephen Jones is saying this, because who has it? The Philadelphia Eagles. And they know they're not going to compete. Shattered fan, you said it right. How are they going to do it with 1 wide receiver? Because they're going to get more than 1. And they're going to do something very smart that the Philadelphia Eagles did. Stop. Hey, don't fix your team. to where Dak Prescott needs to be Superman all the time. No. You don't make this into Superman the movie. Make it into the Justice League. You make it into the Justice League. That's what you do. Stop having your team so top heavy. You need to put a roster around the quarterback. And not just the quarterback. Put a roster around Micah Parsons. He needs it. Micah Parsons needs a supporting cast. He does. He'll be way better with a supporting cast. You got to get him. You got to get someone else. Go and get a legitimate defensive end. I'm not saying he's not a legitimate defensive end, but he's undersized. Go and get you a legitimate, and what I mean by that is an actual defensive end who is the size of a defensive end that can literally rush the passer and let him be on the opposite side of Micah Parsons, or fix it to where you can line up Micah Parsons at linebacker from time to time. You do that, and this defense and this offense with a running game, they're different.
Yes! Here we go!
They're different, I'm telling you. Roberta says, and I pray Jerry's hearing this and just be an owner and hire a GM. Did you notice what Steven said? I don't know if Will McClay is going anywhere. He mentioned Will McClay. So it looks like they're going to let Will McClay do work. Cowboy Thanos, I'm with you. This is all they're explaining. And the same thing that I was saying, Cowboys Thanos, and nobody was listening. I said it, and I said it, and I said it. Mike McCarthy is not a leader of men. I know that may hurt some people's feelings. He wasn't a leader of men. I would never want him to be the coach of my team. Never, ever would I want him to be the coach of my team. I wouldn't. Rodney Vaughn, it's a team. What they're talking about for the first time in a long time is a doggone team. And they're saying that the reason why we hired Schotty is because from all intents and purposes, he can build a team. And watch what they're going to do. They're going to facilitate it. They're going to give this man the best assistance they can give him. They're going to do it. I'm awake. Are you? Tell me what you think. Eberflus. From all intents and purposes, I keep hearing that he'll be a good defensive coordinator. Jerry doesn't care about team success. Only wants the pockets to grow. Tay, welcome to the channel. I think he's seeing something different. I mentioned this last night. Y'all might not understand what I'm saying. There's a generation, which is us, the fan base that is 50, 60, and 70. So you're talking 2 generations, basically. My sons don't like the Dallas Cowboys. They don't dislike them, but they don't like them. They don't follow them. They don't follow the Dallas Cowboys. There are people. Daniel M. is one of them. I don't know if he's on here today. Daniel M. was born in 95. That was the last year the Cowboys won the Super Bowl. Daniel M.'s father did a great job of instilling the Cowboys in him. But for everyone that's like Daniel M., there are a lot of the younger generation. They've never seen the Dallas Cowboys win squat, and they don't care to go back and look at the highlights. They don't want to hear nothing about the Dallas Cowboys because all they can remember, if they were born in the 90s, all they can remember for what? The last 30 years? Mediocrity. Bad quarterbacks, bad coaching, losing. One thing we can give Mike McCarthy credit for, and Jason Garrett, whether we want to or not, they bought the double-digit wins, as in the 10s, the 11s, and the 12s. Jason Garrett got a 13-win season. They brought winning back to the Cowboys and gave the Cowboys hope. Because I'm telling you, it was rough. Even in the Parcells years to me, it was rough. It was rough. It's been rough since I'm not even counting Barry, from Jimmy to Bill. Bill started kind of getting it going in the right direction. Then we got Jason Garrett after Wade Phillips, got it going in the right direction. Mike McCarthy came, got it going in the right direction. But the reality is, with Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy, y'all got to give them credit. What happened to both of them is not Tony Romo, but Dak Prescott. Nobody expected Dak Prescott to be what he is. Nobody. They wrote this man off before he even signed the contract. Most people did. Jerry didn't know what he was. We got to give Jason Garrett credit for it. Jason knew what he kind of saw the potential. But then when he took off in his rookie season, it was like, what in the world? And here we are, 9 years later? 3 12-win seasons, second team All-Pro, MVP runner-up, got injured this season. I think Dak is working on his body. I think he'll be back next season. And I think he's going to play extremely well. And I think one of the reasons he's going to play extremely well is because, and Schotty's going to talk about it, he said that he's going to make sure Dak Prescott's going to play elite quarterback this year. Elite. You know why I believe him? Go back and look at Russell Wilson's numbers. The quarterbacks that have played with Brian Schottenheimer, they are some of the best years of their career. Yep. Brian Schottenheimer knows how to bring the best out of quarterbacks. OC, it's not a coach issue, players issue. Wait, hold on a second. Now, you got to listen to what they're saying. No, it has been a coach issue. It has been a coach issue. Bobby Belt reported it. Mike Fisher is now starting to verify some of it. And now we're hearing in this press conference. No, they had a coach issue. Mike McCarthy, very insecure. Poor communicator. Not a culture builder. I was saying this before any of this stuff. I said it, this dude is not a leader of men. I would never want this man to be a coach of any team I had. Never want him to be a coach. Georgia Grimes, Michael need to learn to keep his mouth shut. This man might be able to help him. He might be able to help him. He definitely might be able to help him. Let me go down a little bit more, then I want to listen to some more, let you listen to some more of this. Some of this stuff they were saying, I absolutely love it. And he said Vegas wants the Chiefs to have the first three-peat. They do. But I hope, see, football is very hard to fix. Where football becomes fixable, and this is where the Chiefs, I want y'all to follow how the Chiefs have been achieving this help from the referees. The Chiefs have been getting help from the referees because the teams that they play, they keep playing close games. That's where the referees can control a close game. Because the referees can make a call in a close game. Like now, I didn't even realize it. I dozed off during the game. There was a fourth down tush push where the player was lined up over the ball. They could have got offsides. They didn't call it. And everyone's saying that Josh Allen got the first down. They said he didn't. When you allow games to be close, they're easy for the referees to control. Because you can't fix the whole team. You can't go to a team and say, hey, we want Patrick Mahomes to get a three-peat, so y'all got to lay down. You can't do that. But who you can talk to is the referees. And you can tell them, hey, man, we want to, however, whatever the conversation is. But where you nullify referees, and a lot of coaches, you've heard them say this in the past, don't let it come down to the refs. How do you achieve that? You obliterate a team. You obliterate them. You dominate them. Philadelphia Eagles have the best running attack in the league. You obliterate them. You get up on them by 10, 13, 14, 17. You get up on them. And then you make it extremely hard for the referees to cheat. And they still may do a couple of things here and there. But they can't just be so blatant that they're going to be doing it play after play after play after play. No. You do everything you can do. To me, there's two things you do in the game. Me, this is how I'm coaching my teams. There are two things I don't want to come down to. I don't want it to come down to a field goal. Nope, I don't want to play that game. That's cool, twice a season. 3 times maximum. I don't want half of my games coming down to the field goal kicker. Nope. I'm not paying you to win games. I'm paying you to kick extra points. That's really what I want you to do. I want you to kick extra points. I don't even want you to be the leading scorer in the league, because if you're the leading scorer in the league, that means we got red zone problems. You know what I want you to do? This is my goal. This year, all I want you to kick is extra points. That's all I want you to kick. And if you're going to kick field goals, I don't want you to cross over the threshold of 100 points. I want us getting in the end zone on a regular basis. Number 2, no close games to where the referees can control the game. Let's go out here, do what we're supposed to do, beat the brakes off teams so it doesn't come down to nonsense. Because if you let it come down to nonsense, we got all this betting and junk in these games, you're going to run into some problems. So the way you do that is you don't let games be close. If there is one team that can do this to the Kansas City Chiefs, it's the Eagles. I am fully confident in this. They have the best roster in the league. They don't have the best quarterback in the league. They have the best roster in the league. Yep. I'm telling you, Rodney Vaughn, I'm with you. Let me go down a little bit further, and I want to listen to some more of this. Night Train, I told you're in the wrong place, bro. I'm here until they prove, like Michael Irvin said, got to give it a chance. We don't know where Brian Schottenheimer is. So the only thing we can do is now wait and see. Stephen Jones, he wrote the check. Jerry Jones is going to write the check too. So all we can do now, they wrote the check. Let's see if it cashes. That's all we got to do. Let's watch and see if it cashes. Teams are everything, King Blood. Andre Mosley. Okay, we got coaching change. We need players, good players. Stephen Jones just said it. He said their goal. I've never heard him say this before. He said the goal is to have the best roster in the league. Now, D-Van 914. So we already know they're not going to hire a GM. Now, that really would be la-la land. But this tells us something. Now I want to see what Will McClay. Are they going to let Will McClay go to work? Will they let Will McClay go to work? Well, let me tell y'all something. As it pertains to building the best roster in the league, there's never been an easier year. There's never been an easier year. You got the quarterback. You got the wide receiver. You got the defensive end. You got the cornerback. You got pieces that most teams don't have when they start talking about building. This isn't a rebuilding for the Cowboys. They're recalibrating. The draft is loaded at wide receiver. Check. Loaded with at running back. Check. You got the 2 skill positions. We've seen what has happened to the Cowboys when they've drafted running back first round, wide receiver first round. We see what it looks like. They will have a great opportunity, even in free agency. There are going to be players out there all over the place. If they want to build it, they can build it. And if the goal is to build the best roster, you can do this with your eyes closed. The only thing that's got to make sense is the money. You can do this with your eyes closed. Quentin Scott, I'm telling you, I've been saying this, Quentin Scott, even before I heard this. Yeah, they're going to do something. And I've been saying it. I said it before any of this. I said I got a funny feeling they're going to do something. They are. Cowboys are going to do something. After Aikman yelled it didn't change anything, just looked good on camera. They haven't been in this situation. Think about this, Aj Madell. Welcome to the channel. They were closer to those Super Bowl wins. They were closer to those Super Bowl wins. Troy Aikman, what was it? He lasted, 4, maybe 5 seasons after the 95 Super Bowl? They were still just basking in the glory of those Super Bowls. Now it's been 30 years almost. They got to do something different. All right, I got a super chat here. Will Pounds, appreciate you.
Here we go.
Will Pounds. Man. You know what? You could be right. He says, look at Brian Schottenheimer and tell me Jerry didn't look at him and think of, hey man, and think of Nick Sirianni for the Philadelphia Eagles. Will Pounds. Anybody who's been on this channel will tell you this was why I wanted the Philadelphia Eagles to win. Now they have a blueprint. They can look at they can look at what's working and say, okay, so this is what we have to do. So this is what you have to do now. All you have to do is do it. It is in the hands of the Cowboys now. Hey, you know what? Ain't no point in none of us crying over Brian Schottenheimer anymore. There ain't no point in crying. Brian Schottenheimer is the coach here now. You know what? I'm all behind him. Brian Schottenheimer is our coach. I'm rolling. I'm riding with Brian Schottenheimer. I have nothing negative. And from the get-go, I had nothing negative to say because we don't know what he is. But I can tell you why I'm even more excited, because I've never heard Steven and Jerry talk like this around a coach. I think there are some extenuating circumstances that have them talking like this. I think the fact that they chose Brian Schottenheimer has put pressure on them. Major pressure. They got to prove to the whole NFL world that they are right on choosing Brian Schottenheimer, a coach that nobody was checking for. I love it. I love it. There is nothing that busts a pipe like pressure. There is nothing that busts a pipe like pressure. I love it. Stephen Jones has said it. Roster, personnel. He said we got to put a staff and a roster around him. They're trying to insulate him. This is exactly what they were going to do if they hired Deion Sanders. They have to insulate him. When you are making a pick that you're not sure of, you know what you do be sure of? You be sure of everything around him. You surround him with everything that he needs and even more. Sounds like what they're doing to me. I'm here for it. I love it. Absolutely love what they're doing. All we can do now is wait and see. Because at the end of the day, one of us is going to be wrong and one of us is going to be right. Dan D. Van. And think about it. Didn't Steven say it? The fan base is fed up, and they, as the organization, needs to feel the same way. I hope they watched Philly yesterday and they got sick to their stomach. Did you hear what Steven said? I know our fan base. How does he know him? I learned something again in this press conference that I already knew, but it reinforced it. They're listening to what everyone says. Because Jerry started quoting everything people were saying. Everything that was being said, he was saying it. Azteca said, doesn't matter who has the better roster. Mahomes and Chiefs are getting that three-peat, and nothing will stop them. The Eagles are going to stop them. The Eagles are going to stop them. You can't fix a whole game. You cannot fix a whole game. Everybody on the team has to be in on it. The Philadelphia Eagles, it was 38-35. Everybody said the same thing about the Golden State Warriors in that third season. Only for them to be up, 3-1, and then they came back on. No, I think the Eagles are going to stop them. I think the Eagles are going to stop them. I do. They have the best roster in the league. What's going on, Brandy Mahoney? Good to see you. Like the content, I appreciate you. From the draft, I want running back, cornerback, running back, wide receiver, cornerback, O-line, and safety. I like that order. I like what you stated, and I'm telling you, if you want a running back and wide receiver, this is the draft. You can't miss. The only way you miss is you want to miss. You cannot miss in this draft on running back and wide receiver. You can't miss. You can't miss. If you miss, you want to. There's no other way they say. You miss it, it's because you want to. Brandy said they had a major collapse last year and they came back better than ever. They did. I hate the Eagles, but Howie is the best GM in football. Straight up. As we used to say in the hood, straight up. That dude, Howie Roseman, is the best in the business. He's the GM of the year. Best in the business. He is. Appreciate you, Delta Roots. Appreciate you. Mark Lozano, the rest will beat the Eagles. Hey, I'm telling you, the only way they can stop them, they got to get ahead of them. If they let the game be close like the Bills did, they're going to get beat. I will say it. If they let this game be close, they will get beat. Oh, man, Cougar. Hey, Jason Higgins. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll take Jason Higgins too. But you think about it. See how you have to think about it? They have to be the best duo. And if they're not the best duo, when you add Goddard, so you got 3 on a team like that. That's a heavy hitter. Yeah, I would love to have Chase and Higgins. I would definitely. And Higgins is probably going to be out there. People keep talking about Stephon Diggs. No, I'd get Higgins over Stephon Diggs. Because Jamar Chase balled out so hard, I don't know why the Cincinnati Bengals waited on this man's contract. You just did what the Joneses did. You let this man go out and have the best season of his career, and now you're going to have to pay him. They probably won't pay him and T. Higgins. T. Higgins going to be out there. Well, Wild Boy Trey, what's up? You living up to your name with these comments. Jalen Hurts just shows up the group project and gets an A. Hey, I want him in the group. You tell me anything you want to, I want him in the group. I do. I want him in the group. Wild Boy Trey, give Shotty a running back. They are going to give him a running back. Another wide receiver and tight end, and we're going to cook. They're going to do it. I'm telling you this thing about Kyle Pitts. Oh, my gosh. I hope it would be true. Hassan Reddick, Delta Roots. I talked about Hassan Reddick early in the season. I was crying for the Cowboys to get Hassan Reddick. Problem is, it sounds like, if I'm not mistaken, I saw something come across the wire. I don't know if this was something old, but I thought it came across the wire that Hassan Reddick has actually signed a contract now. Let me make sure maybe this is something old. But I wanted the Cowboys to get Hassan Reddick. And I'm not sure what the Jets signed him to. Let me see. Hassan Reddick. Yeah, I was saying it last year. Had they got Hassan Reddick with I said it last night. Man, Hassan Reddick with Micah Parsons. Oh, my gosh. Hassan Reddick with Micah Parsons. Man, the league would have to make a rule against it. It would literally be insane. So it looks like Hassan Reddick is now on the last year of his deal. Please, Dallas, do this. I was crying for it early in the season. Hassan Reddick deal is done. He'll be 31. I'll take Hassan Reddick at 31. He's still balling. I would take Hassan Reddick at 31. Whatever little, his contract is done after this season. Got a lot of dead money and stuff like that. So, no big deal. Hassan Reddick, you know what? Hassan Reddick at 31. I'd bring him in on a 3-year deal. I'd bring him in on a 3-year deal. I'd give him 3 years, $20 million guaranteed. Man, you put Hassan Reddick with Micah Parsons even at 31, it's going to be problems for this league. I think he has a lot left in the tank. But I also think there will be a frenzy. I think there'll be a frenzy for Hassan Reddick once he hits that free agency market. Well, he's an unrestricted free agent. There's going to be a frenzy for this man when he hits the market. I mean, he's really good. He is. So, but I was already hoping that the Cowboys got him. AK says sign Sweat. Okay. Khalil Mack. Yep. There's going to be players out there if they want them. Steve says, welcome to your Al Davis years until Jerry gone. It sounds, hey, Steve, does it not sound like to you that Stephen Jones is making a power move on this team? It sounds like to me that Stephen Jones is making a power move on this team. That Stephen Jones might be saying, I'm about to show y'all how this is done. Let me go down further in the interview. There's some other nuggets in here too. Y'all keep chatting. Now, I just said something, Steve. Steve Cruz, I just said something. Does it not seem to y'all that Stephen Jones is making the power move? And I don't think he's making, I don't know if he's taking it from his dad. Maybe his dad is giving it to him. But everyone has been saying this is a Stephen Jones hire. And I believe that it is a Stephen Jones hire. And the way he answers this question is actually going to tell us, at least in my opinion, as much. Listen to what he says right here.
John Machota with The Athletic. For Stephen, we know that you met multiple times with Brian, several hours. Can you just kind of go behind the scenes and share some of the stuff that was talked about during that, and at what point you guys kind of felt comfortable making him the next head coach?
As I said, and certainly I probably more than anybody have respect, for what Schotty's role was. I mean, Mike was our play caller. He was our head coach, and then he was our play caller. And, Schotty was there to support him as the offensive coordinator. But I think some of the most important things for us, after you get to know the man better and you see the energy, you see the way he can communicate with Jerry, with myself, with the room, certainly that jumped out at you. But the bigger thing, as I mentioned, we certainly want continuity, but we also want change. And, just felt like, we need something that's going to freshen it up. Mike did one hell of a job here. He's the winningest coach, I think, in the history of the franchise. Had an unprecedented, 3-year run, winning 12 games. So, Mike did a lot of great things here. But at the same time, we just felt like, Jerry felt like, I was supportive of it, that we did need change. And we wanted to hear how that was going to happen. And, it's not just the X's and O's. We obviously went extensively through the X's and O's, but we also, you get into the schedules, you get into how you get your players motivated, how you take care of your players. All those things are, part of being a head coach, and it's a.
Do you keep hearing the reoccurring theme? The reoccurring theme. Mike McCarthy was a problem. Mike McCarthy did some good things here, but they're also saying he did some bad things here. And one of the things that he failed to do, he didn't create camaraderie between the coaching staff and the players. That was Mike McCarthy's failure. And I'm telling you, when he sat down with Mike McCarthy, they made their mind up. They'd already made their mind up after the debacle at Green Bay. And in order for him to stay, they were literally going to strip him down to nothing but a figurehead. And Jason Witten was going to be the head coach in waiting. They were literally going to strip him down. And Mike McCarthy said, thanks, but no thanks. This may be the last go around we see Mike McCarthy. If the Saints don't give him the job, and if I'm the Saints, I'm not giving him the job. I think there's a good chance that Kellen Moore is going to get an opportunity at the New Orleans Saints, especially if they win the Super Bowl. I think he's going to get an opportunity for the New Orleans Saints. Because I'll tell you this, I'm not bringing in Mike McCarthy. Everything they keep saying is the problem with Mike McCarthy. Motivator of men. It wasn't just about the X's and the O's. That was the problem with this team. They were winning in spite of this man. And some of us not even catching on to this. They're winning in spite of this man. Brian Schottenheimer. They're bringing this dude in to help build the team. Stephen Jones is saying we like some of the things he did to build the team, the team's morale, how he communicated with us and the players and the coach. That's why they got him in here.
A lot, and that's why, a lot of people sometimes scratch their head, why would you go with a first-time head coach? That's been the way of the league these days. Most are going with these young offensive wizards that hadn't been head coaches. But I think we got a better version of that because of Schotty's experience. I mean, everybody's mentioned it. 25 years of NFL coaching and a whole lifetime of being around it. He played the game, at a high level of competition in college. Certainly that made an impression on him. But it was real important, and the more we met, the more we wanted to meet. And I think that was helping us, come to a conclusion on what that decision should be in terms of, Coach Schottenheimer being our next head coach.
And then for Brian, real quick, just what was that moment like when it was Jerry or Steven or whoever told you, hey, we're moving forward with you, you're the next head coach?
Humbling. There's so many incredible coaches in this profession at every level.
Stephen Jones was the most impressive person at this press conference. He was the most impressive person at the press conference. Stephen Jones has written a check now. I want to see him cash it. Stephen and Jerry worked in tandem on this. Jerry wanted a change from Mike McCarthy. Stephen Jones says, I agree with you. How about Brian Schottenheimer? I told y'all that, before I even saw this press conference, I said the 3 C's of Brian Schottenheimer: cheap, controllable, comfortability. They got him cheap, controllable. He said they wanted continuity. They don't want him coming in making all kinds of changes. But what they do want him to do, comfortability. But they do want him to make the change that they want him to control. We want you in this system to build the bridge between the front office, the players, and the coaching staff. That's what we want. That's what we want you to do, Shotty. And it seems like he can do it. And in return, we're going to put stuff around you. They have to make right on this. There's no other way to explain it. They have to make right on this. Because if not, they are going to look like the biggest fools ever. They do. They are. Brandy, she said Kelly Boy Price went up. I heard he was going to be the head coach of the Saints. I think so too. And Mike Schottenheimer, Mike Fisher was talking about some things this morning. He was kind of speculating on what happened with the Kellen Moore, talking about Kellen Moore was shocked. I don't think Kellen Moore was shocked. No, I think Kellen Moore came in fat-catting. I think Kellen Moore came to that interview fat-catting, and I think they saw it. Kellen Moore came into that interview like, I don't need y'all. I really don't need you. I want to be the coach of the Cowboys, but I don't need to be the coach of the Cowboys. I'm winning. Kellen Moore knew before he even interviewed with the Cowboys, more than likely he was going to the Super Bowl. I've been saying it. They're the best roster in the NFC. They're the best roster in the NFL. Pound for pound, they're better. They were going to the Super Bowl. Kellen Moore is now in the Super Bowl. If he don't get a job this year, Kellen Moore will get one of the next 3 jobs that come open next year. He will get one of those jobs if he doesn't get the Saints job. And I'll tell you this, if I'm the Saints and it's coming down to Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore, I've seen that movie. I don't want it. I know that movie by heart. I don't want to see that movie again. And Steven is saying something. I don't know if any of y'all, what you ever done in your life. But I'm all for. I am all for. Man, you know what? Sometimes you got to take somebody that's never done it before. Because if you take somebody that's done it before, you know what you're going to get? You're going to get how they've done it before. That's what you're getting. You're going to get how they've done it before. You get a lot of these old dogs, they're creatures of habit. Some of these old dogs don't want to learn no new tricks. They don't want to do nothing. Hey, man, I got my whole system. I know who I'm bringing in. I want to bring in my buddies. I want to bring in my friends. This is how I've always done. I mean, Mike McCarthy in here with that stale as toast West Coast offense. Man, get out of here. I don't want to hear you talking about doggone Bill Walsh, how he taught it. Do you not understand the players that Bill Walsh had on that team when he was running that doggone offense? Get out of here. I don't want to hear none of that stale as toast West Coast offense talk. Why not bring in somebody new? Why not? Bring in somebody who's never coached. Because now they're not going to come in. This is where the continuity comes in. They're not going to come in talking about this is how we did it where I came from. Who doesn't hate when someone gets hired and they say, yeah, man, what I used to work, this is what we did. Man, here this dude is. Yeah, Brian, you got Schottenheimer. First time he's done it. He'll do some things like he used to do them, but he's also going to do some things to where he say, this is what I saw Mike McCarthy do, and I thought it was wrong. This is what I would do. I want to see what he does. D-Van, Mike McCarthy couldn't lead men out of a wet paper bag. I'm with you. I am with you. Man, this dude, I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't believe they even hired him. Xavier Rivera, what's going on? I think Brian will do a good job. I do too. And you know why I think he's going to do a good job? Because I think they're going to insulate him. They're going to put coaches around him. They're going to put players around him. This dude's going to do good. Delta, what's going on? I'm 37. I'm a diehard fan. Yes, sir. I'm with him. I'm telling you, I'm with him. Mark Lozano, Dak can't run. You don't have to worry about it. Get him a running back. You don't have to run. But I do think Dak is going to, he's already talked about it, he's going to put more muscle back on his body. I've already said this before. One of the things that Dak has done, if you pay attention over the last 3 years, when Dak came into the league, Dak was like stacked. He was built like a running back / quarterback. But over these last 2 to 3 years, Dak has streamlined his body. He's really like conscious now of what he's eating. And I think in slimming down his body, that takes away from some of the durability to run, especially when that's not your natural body. It's one thing when you're Jaden Daniels. That's his natural body. He's a slim dude. That's his natural body. Y'all remember when Lamar Jackson did the same thing? Lamar Jackson came out, what was it? Lamar Jackson came out season before last, and I was like, what the world's wrong with this dude's neck? I mean, Lamar Jackson went and put on like 10 or 15 pounds. Notice what he did this year? He went back to his natural body weight, because when you go to your unnatural body weight, if you're not careful and you're playing like contact sports and stuff like that, it does things to you depending upon what kind of position you're playing. So Dak is going to put some muscle back on his body, and I think that's going to get him back in the position to be able to run again. Joe Jose said he'd get ahead of himself. Hey, man, I'm ready. At least we're getting the talk. I want to hear the talk again. LaQueen, what's going on? She said, I feel better since the press conference. What's been said gives us fans a little hope. Hey, and I'm telling you this, Stephen Jones, man, this dude here, This dude, Stephen Jones, said some stuff I ain't heard this dude say I just can't remember any time I've ever heard him say it. Chris Newman, this great fan base that lives and dies with this team deserves way better. And Stephen Jones said that. And in this whole thing, Schottenheimer said it too. Schottenheimer said the fan base deserves to win. 1991, what's going on? Let's give him a chance. Michael Irvin, let's give him a chance. And then we're going to see. We're going to see what he is. Let me cue up another spot here. There was another spot here that I like something that Jerry Jones said. I mean, it took him a minute to say it in the Jerry Jones fashion, but he said it, and I was like, okay, all right, Jerry, get to the point. Okay, I thought this was one of the best questions of the day. Let me cue this up.
Nick Harris, forward Star Telegram. This first one's for Jerry right here in the front.
Well,
Right here. You obviously know the man to your right very well. When you talk to fans are super impatient. They see two NFC East teams playing yesterday. Obviously, the drought that we've spoken to. I know you've spoken to fan sentiment, but why should fans buy into Brian Schottenheimer?
well, you have touched on one point. Our fans have been very patient. Very patient. And through you to them, I want to tell them how appreciative that I am of the support and of their interest in the Dallas Cowboys. Now, there's a whole bunch of those fans that look and are interested because they want to see me grovel, whatever it is. But I'm not putting that up there much. But to those fans who have been with us, this decision to bring Shotty in is risky. It's not a Hail Mary at all in any way. But it's founded over some very unique, as I started off, unique sets of circumstances. I know how much our fans are into the Dallas Cowboys. And for me to be into it is no solace at all. We're interested, they're interested, I'm interested in getting to those playoffs and winning. This is the best way that we can go to the playoffs and win.
My next one's for Brian, if I could, really quick.
I think he's saying something. What they were missing with Mike McCarthy was the culture. How many times have we talked about culture over this whole season? The culture was broken. Jerry is what he is. We know what he is. Steven is what he is. We know what he is. The Joneses are saying something. They think that this guy, unlike, and I think this is one of the reasons why they didn't interview the Ben Johnsons, the Aaron Glenns. They didn't want somebody who was going to come in and say, your system sucks. Because if I come in and say your system sucks, I want y'all to think about this logic. You tell me, you go into a job and you say the system sucks. So what's your attitude? The system sucks. You work like the system sucks. You talk like the system sucks. And you're not concerned about really building it because you think the system sucks. And you think you have a better way of doing it. And then you've been at a place where it's been done better. So you want to change the whole system. But Brian is saying something. I like the family. I like the organization. I like the players. I like some of the things that they have in place. And in the grand scheme of things, this is his first go round. He's not going to be as concerned in controlling what he don't control. He's not going to be as concerned. I kept saying this about Mike McCarthy. What frustrated me about Mike McCarthy, he would not control the parts he could control. And now we're knowing something. He did control the play calling. Contrary to what some have thought, he did control the play calling. He wanted to run that stale as toast West Coast offense, and no matter what anyone said, he beat his head against the doggone pricks and said, no, we're going to run it. That's the reason why Rico Dowdle was on ice so long. And they still didn't use him as good as they should have. That's the reason why he didn't use Cavante Turpin the way he should have been used. No, this dude has a different attitude. There's a thing I can control. Me. And I can motivate men. I can motivate men in any system. The system isn't changing. And if you take a job, and this is the problem I had with Mike McCarthy, and I said it before, don't take a job and you don't like the job as in the job description, but you lie and get the job, and then you come in and then you pouting about the job description. Get out of here. You know what it was when you came in. Get out of here. You're a liar and you're phony. Get out of here. No, you know what it is when you come in and you work within the framework of what it is. And if you can work within the framework of what it is, and if you will do well at what you can control, you'll be shocked at what you'll be able to do. I've done this my whole career where people will say things like, man, there's no way you're going to be able to do this. There's no way you're going to be able to do that. There's no way you're going to pull the wife that you have. I did everything they said I couldn't do. Everything they said I couldn't do. You don't focus on you don't focus on what everyone else is. You focus on what you are. Focus on what you can control. And when you go in there, you do the parts you can control and you do it well. And when you do it well, you'll earn respect. And when you earn respect, you'll be shocked that even your enemies will be at peace with you. Even the people who everyone said they couldn't be cracked, you will crack them. And they'll do things for you they never did for anyone else. I've had this happen my whole life. Cowboys are looking at this dude, Brian Schottenheimer, and I'm telling you, they got to talk to this dude, and they said, hey, you know what? We like how he's talking, because I'm telling you, you think about all these other coaches we said if you bring them in here, how do you think Ben Johnson going to come in here? Things going to be different now. Is that what you want? I mean, I know it's what we want, but let's be real. It's not what's going to happen. So if Brian works in the framework of what they've given to him, Brian is going to be fine. There is nothing that tells me that Brian can't win 12 games. If they did it with Mike McCarthy in that toxic environment, I'm fully confident Brian Schottenheimer will get this thing to 10-7, maybe a game better. He'll get it to, I think 2026 is where they're going to take off. We're going to see 12 or 13 wins. We're going to see them go deep in the playoffs, and I believe they're going to the Super Bowl, and I believe they're going to win it. Steven said, our goal is to build the best roster in the NFL. You're not going to do that in one offseason. Let's be real. You're not doing it in one, but you can do it in two, in a maximum of 3. The Cowboys took off after 3 seasons when Jimmy got here. They hired him in 89? Traded Herschel Walker. 91, 92, all of a sudden the Cowboys, boom, they took off. They took off. Next thing you know, they're in the Super Bowl. They're going to get a Super Bowl under Dak Prescott. I'm telling you. They're going to get a Super Bowl. Let me read some of your comments, and I'm going to cue up the last part of this. There's so many good things in here. We're going to cue it up. Dak is 37. Oh, no, Dak's 31. Jason Garrett believed in Dak Prescott. Yeah, he did. Yep, he did. I like your enthusiasm, G. Midnight Cowboy. Hey, somebody got to have it. Somebody got to have it, Midnight Cowboy, because everybody can't be doom and gloom. And Midnight, I said it last night. The glass is either half empty or half full. What a lot of people is half empty. I'm not a half empty person. Kenny James, I don't know what in the world they were thinking hiring Brian. Well, they're telling you what they were thinking. I think they're being sincere. They're telling you what they were thinking. They wanted continuity and change. I mean, those two words almost don't even go together, but I understand what they're saying. They're telling you what they were thinking. I don't think they're lying to you. I think they're telling you what they were thinking. D Van 914, I'm with you. Mike McCarthy was the problem. Coppery Singer. No. I'm gonna let you hear another question. No, we're about to be like the Eagles. we are about to be like the Eagles because this is what is actually being asked about this question. You know, looking at the Eagles. So no, you're gonna watch the Cowboys make some serious changes. I believe they're about to make some serious changes. It doesn't matter who the coach is. Jerry Walls pull strings. No, it matters. It does matter. I think it does matter who the coach is. And yes, Jerry's going to be Jerry, but it does matter who the coach is. It matters. It does. You talking about Mike McCarthy, you say you never liked him? I know I didn't. Chanel, what's going on? Can't handle the truth. Chat, why are you guys freaking out? This is just like getting a new supervisor at your job. You'll flow. Yo, I'm telling you. Chanel, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And if I'm not all for it, can I change anything? Jay Recruiter in the crib. Let me read Jay Recruiter's super chat. Jay Recruiter said Jerry came out defensive and emotional. He is watching and reading the criticism. I've never seen him like that. Exactly. I just said the same thing, Jay Recruiter, because I'm like, I can tell by listening to them. They're listening to the criticism and it's affecting them. And that's why when you hear Stephen Jones, I've never heard Stephen Jones talk like this. And yeah, Jay Recruiter, you're exactly right. Stephen Jones is emotional. I mean, Jerry Jones is emotional. He is. Jerry's feeling it. And I said it before. Jerry Jones has more yesterdays than tomorrows, and he knows it. Jerry Jones has more yesterdays than tomorrows. And Jerry Jones knows. This is the swan song. Y'all might not realize this. This is the swan song for Jerry Jones. Jerry's going to step aside. I'm telling you, Jerry's going to step aside here pretty soon. And I think it's going to be the Dak Prescott contract. He's going to step aside. He said something when he signed Dak Prescott. Jerry said, I want Dak Prescott to be the quarterback here for the remainder of my time here. So you signed him to a 4-year deal. Jerry Jones will be stepping aside. And I think he's already kind of relinquishing some things. Jerry Jones will be stepping aside for the Dallas Cowboys sooner than later. This is the swan song. It's now or never for Jerry Jones. It's now or never. And I think he knows it. It's now or never. If he don't win it now, when? When is he going to win it? In the grave? They're going to load his consciousness into artificial intelligence? And he going to be talking on some TV screen? His consciousness is going to be talking on some TV screen? No, it's while he was alive. It's now or never. It is. Midnight. The reason why I'm asking, because it's right there for the taking. There is nothing that allows you to do some things you've never done before than bringing in somebody new. Man, when you bring in somebody new, you get so much leeway to do so many things you haven't done before. And Brian, to me, like I said, he's not bringing the baggage. You know, you think about in relationships, you get with somebody who's been married before. Me, I would never do it. When I was younger, I used to say I would never marry somebody who'd been married before. And that don't mean that people that have been divorced and have been great people in their next marriage and went on and lived happily ever after. But there's a danger sometimes in getting people that's been married and divorced because they bring baggage from an old marriage. It's different when you're in a fresh relationship. Y'all get to build together rather than people coming in with expectations from their past life as being married or things of that nature. I like what they're doing with Brian. Now that I've heard the press conference, I'm good. I was already good, but I'm real good now. I'm real good. Sarah, I'm going to tell you something. I think we're about to see something now that they don't have no choice but to be all in, because the Washington Commanders it's not Philly, it's the Washington Commanders. They put the Cowboys on notice. If you don't build a roster, we're going to beat you. Even though the Cowboys beat them the first time and they almost beat them the second time, even with Jaden Daniels out there. I mean, Mike Zimmer did a bang-up job. I actually wish that the Cowboys, I don't know about wish, but I wouldn't have been mad if the Cowboys had brought back Mike Zimmer. I wouldn't have been mad. Chanel said you can't handle the truth. She said the two most important people on the team, it's the DC and the OC. The coach communicates between those two entities. Yep. And for all intents and purposes, Chanel, they're saying that Mike McCarthy was not a good communicator. Eagles will meet their demise on Super Bowl with their best roster. There's a chance. But I also think there's a great chance. The Cowboys, a great chance that the Eagles are going to beat them. Ecclesiastes 4:4. Cowboys hate a hurdle. What's going on? People work hard to succeed because they envy their neighbors, but it's useless. Stop worrying about what the next team has. Focus on home. I tell you this, though. The Bible also says, imitate us as we imitate Christ. Make note of those who walk worthy. And when you see somebody doing something good and it's working, do it. Someone has to be held responsible. Boy, Chanel, I know. They took Taco Charlton over TJ Watt. I want to know who made that call. Boy, that's crazy. That's crazy right there. That person right, man, that's crazy. I know that. That's crazy. That expiration date. Yep. 2028. It'll be a whole new regime. Shotty might be another Kyle Shanahan for all we know. Yep. I'm all for it. I think Kyle's going to do a great job. I do. This is the year to get the players that you need. Just spend the money. If you want to win, you got to spend. If you want to win, you have to spend. It takes money to make money. This is what folks don't understand about business. I always laugh at folks talking about, yeah, man, I want the best quality cheap. Get out of here. Get out of here. Yeah, man, I want top of the line cheap. Get out of here. Yeah, I want the best mechanic to work on my car cheap. Get your butt out of here. All these cheap. I ain't got time for them kind of folk. Talk about they want the best. Yeah, I want the best cheap. Do you know the best and cheap don't go? The best and cheap don't go together. Stop it. And this is the year too, because there's going to be so much out there, Andre. There really is. There's going to be a lot out there. Let me cue up another piece of this interview, and I'm going to read some more of your comments, and I'm going to play some more. Okay. This was another question and answer. I love this answer from Brian Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer gave, this was a send shockwaves answer right here.
For Brian, if I could really quick. You've worked with Dak Prescott for 3 years now. Obviously, he had a lot of support for you. What do you feel like you two can work on together to unlock even more of his game?
Well, before I respond to that, I'd like to go back with one thing, Nick. I'm not doing this by myself. I've got the incredible support of Jerry, Steven, the Jones family. The young men that are sitting behind you, we're doing this together. So my message to the Cowboys fans and community is we're going to do this together, and we're going to build this thing the right way. We're going to get the culture right. The X's and O's will come. That doesn't matter. But the support and the work ethic of these guys that sit behind me, incredibly humbling that they know what it takes to win too. So it's not just me, it'll be me and the staff. Your second question, I apologize.
Where my football helmet at? Where are my shoulder pads that my mom bought me when I was 13 years old? This dude right here is the kind of dude to get you ready to play. Just this conversation right there. If I'm sitting in there, I can't wait till the season starts. I can't wait. I cannot wait until the season starts. This dude is going to have his team ready. Still going to have his team ready to play, y'all. I'm telling you. Brian Schottenheimer is going to have this team mentally, and that's where it starts. Winning, I preached this for years. Slavery starts in the mind. When people get enslaved, they don't get enslaved physically first. They get enslaved mentally. You have to break a person mentally to enslave them. You have to devalue them. You have to make them feel like they are less than what they are. You have to make them feel like the only thing they're worth is what you want them for. And when you can break a person down mentally to where the only thing they're good for is for you to use them, they'll let you enslave them. They'll let you enslave them. But winning, it also begins in the mind. Winning doesn't begin with the ability. There are so many people that have had some of the best ability at a position and they never won. It begins up here. When you can put something in someone's mind up here, I'm telling you, it is inception. Because once you put that thought in someone's mind of what they can do, what they can be, you can't get it out. And people will excel on levels that are insane. The mind is powerful. The mind is way more powerful than the body. The spirit is always willing. And when you're talking about the spirit, you're dealing with your mind. When your mind can be convinced, and faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. And even in life, faith comes by hearing. What do people put in your head? And when someone puts something in your head and you find it to be credible, you find it to be achievable, you find it to be believable, you'll be surprised at what you can do in how it translates into your physical world. Brian is killing it. He's killing it. D Van says the draft is deep with running back and wide receiver. Dak delusional in the crib. He said get a receiver in the first and the back in the second. I'm with you. Each way it won't matter. Now Dak delusional. Now you're going to have to close your ears right here. Dak delusional guidance is suggested. Dak delusional, you're going to have to close your ears right here because you're not going to like what Schottenheimer's about to say right here, but I'm all for it. But I'm just telling you in particular. You're gonna have to close your ears right now. Because Schottenheimer is about to say something that's about to make you extremely upset. Let's roll it.
Apologize was?
You've worked with Dak for the last 3 years. What do you feel like you can get out of him? What do you feel like he can get out of you as well?
You know, iron sharpens iron, and Dak and I have an incredible relationship, just like I have an incredible relationship with all these guys. Dak and I know how to push each other's buttons. We know how to have hard conversations. I laugh because I think about in training camp last year, a ball got intercepted, and we kind of had a thing in place where it was like if you throw an interception, you come out. And so I took Dak out, and he's like, "What?" Like he pushed back. He's like, "Ah." And the competitor in him is special. And so I think he and I working together, along with the rest of the guys, putting together the system. There'll be tweaks. There's going to be changes, but He's the type of worker that changes an entire organization. And I think he and I see the game of football offensively very, very similar. And we'll have tons of communication moving forward on some of the thoughts of things we want to do, whether it's tempo or, some of the different things we're trying to do with our play action passing game, the run game, things like that. But he's easy to talk to, and I love and respect him along with all those guys.
Hey guys, Patrick Walker down.
Dak Prescott is going to help design this offense going forward. Dak's going to have input. It's not going to be Mike McCarthy with that Stellis Toast West Coast offense. No, they're going to come in and develop their own system. They're going to let Dak help do this. And he's talking about Dak's work ethic. And they're going to ask him another question. Let me get to that one, and then I'm going to get to your comments. They're going to ask him another question. That's not the one I said is going to make Dak delusional upset. They're going to ask him another question. This was another great question. Let's listen to this one.
The offense, generally speaking, how do you look to move forward as far as modernizing the offense? You talk about solving for the quarterback. What does that look like under a Schottenheimer era?
Yeah, again, I go back to my days with Pete. I think if you go back and you look at some of the things we did in Seattle, obviously the starting point for me would be things that our players do well. You're always going to start with that. If your system's not flexible enough to do what your players do well, then you're probably in the wrong business. But I'm a big believer in cut splits. I'm a big believer in shifts and motions to distort things. We're going to do a great job of marrying our runs and our passes and make those look the same. I'm proud to say that 2 different times in my career as a coordinator, we led the league in rushing, and they go hand in hand. The running game and the action passing game go hand in hand. But I would say there's a tempo element that we're excited to mix in, that our players have all shown an affinity for. And let me expand on that a little bit. Why do players like tempo? Well, they like tempo because it allows them to play free. You guys have heard some of the play calls. Dak could rattle off 4 or 5 of them right now. They're pretty long. So when you go fast and you're playing on the ball, these guys, it's a little bit more like pickup basketball, and those would probably be the biggest things that I would say from an offensive standpoint.
From a personnel and roster.
Let me tell you why you ought to be excited. You remember when they were saying, let Russ cook? How many times did we talk about on this channel? If we were the coach, and I said if I was the coach, I would literally let Dak Prescott 6 times a game, if not 6, minimum 4. There would be 4 times a game I would come out and say, okay, tempo, Dak, it's on you. When you go tempo, now you are letting players play. You're letting Dak read what's going on, call the plays, and go. No complications, no nonsense. I trust you, Dak Prescott, to make the calls. You call the plays, you go. They should have been doing this. Dak Prescott is crazy insane in these tempo offenses. Mike would barely do it. Mike would do it at times when it was predictable. Oh, okay, we got 2 minutes to go. There's 1 minute, 45 seconds to go in the second quarter. Oh, we're at the end of the game. Oh, now we're behind by 19 points. No. How about you just come out in the opening drive sometimes and say, hey, this is a tempo drive. We're going down and score. Boom. Urgency. We got to get up. We got to get ahead. Let's go. Boom. You go down, you get up 7-0. Your team plays different when you're up 7-0. Everything looks different when you get a lead. Now you're playing to win. Now you can do some things differently. Then you mess around and make a stop. You get up 10-0. It changes the game. This happened to us when we got up on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We got up 10-0. It changed the way Tampa Bay played because now they had to start playing catch up. All this stuff he's talking is the very things that this team was not doing enough of. Mike McCarthy just struggled with this stuff. And I know why he struggled with it. It went against his philosophy. Brian is saying something. We're going to create a system that is going to be the best for our team, that's going to help us to win. I'm excited. I want to hear what happens when they hire the defensive coordinator. So now I'm going to let you hear why I was telling y'all why I want the Philadelphia Eagles to win. We have a vested interest in this. And if you don't believe me when I was telling you we have a vested interest in this, if you don't think the Joneses have been watching the Philadelphia Eagles, listen to what Stephen Jones said.
The way they're doing it, where they went out and, did some things with some veteran players, you have to take a look at that. And then you got to find exactly what fits your core, your DNA with our players and what we have and what gives us the best chance to compete against. Certainly you start with your division, the Eagles, the Commanders, and the Giants.
What did he say? Who do you start with? Why do you think Stephen Jones said our goal is to have the best roster in football? And now he comes back and says you have to watch what the teams are doing, talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. You have to look at your own division. The Philadelphia Eagles is the best team in the division right now. And then you not only build a team to win your division, then you look outside your division and you build a team to win the Super Bowl. This is what Howie Roseman did. Howie Roseman didn't build a team just to win the NFC. He understood we got to the Super Bowl. We lost to the doggone Kansas City Chiefs. If we get back to the Super Bowl, we know there's a good chance the Kansas City Chiefs will be there again. How do we build a team to beat the Kansas City Chiefs? Saquon Barkley. Offensive line, defensive line. Make sure we re-sign our wide receivers. Make sure we solidify the team that we have. We go in the draft, we fix some things, and then when we come back in 2 years, we're ready to beat them. Y'all keep talking about this 3-peat. Those things are hard to get. They're very hard to get. And when you're playing for a 3-peat, the pressure's different. You're not just playing for a Super Bowl, you're playing for history. You're playing for a 3-peat. You watch what I tell you. Philadelphia's going to be playing different this time. They're going to be playing different.
Giants. And then you stretch that out, and what does it take to beat the 49ers, to beat the Rams? Certainly those are all things that come in the mix.
I'll answer this. It's money management. Cap is financial. When I bought the Cowboys, several of your counterparts.
Okay. Jerry's about to give us some Jerry jargon. Let me go to the part that when he starts talking. Hold on just a second. Okay. Now, Jerry's about to say something right here that I love. Listen to this.
The cap. Why not this free agent? Why don't you go do this? Not necessarily why didn't you go do that with that. or the timeliness of how you did it, but why didn't you go do that? That's all management, okay? I want our fans to know that I can manage really good. I do real well managing. I do real well managing. I know that bank account's full, that doesn't mean you got money. It just means you hadn't paid your bills due 60 days from now.
Yeah, this is Jerry
So
Jordan.
you got to look around the corner. You got to be good at it, and you got to live with the time that you're looking around the corner. Okay? And so that's what you see here. No apologies. Everybody has to do it. We obviously hadn't done it well enough. I think our first Super Bowls that I was involved in were before the cap. And so we have to do a better job in that area. Can we? You bet you can.
There it is. There it is. Jerry Jones admits the very thing that I talk to people about all the time. That 92 through 95 Cowboys team is an anomaly. There will probably never be a team like that again. The Herschel Walker trade and a no salary cap era. The Cowboys went and did it big. Nobody did it better than the Cowboys. They did it big. They went out and they paid. You want to win, you got to spend. They went out and spent. They brought in players. They did everything they needed to do, and they won. It is a little bit more difficult to do it in this era. So now, Jerry Jones has got to figure out how to do it, and he's finally admitted it. We got to do it better. We have to do it better. Jerry knows they fumbled the ball. They have not been doing the cap right. They have not been doing the picks right. They have not been doing things right. There have been times they could bring in players and they didn't. If they don't do something different, they're going to get left in the dust. They are.
You bet you can. Now, all in, we just spent some of it for Dak. We spent some of it for Lamb. We spent some of it for several of our players. It was an allocation, an anticipation of what we weren't going to spend or not spend in the future. All of that said, we, Stephen, me, spend a lot of time in this area. And I'm not talking about just sitting there in the office on a chalkboard. I'm talking about 3 o'clock in the morning when you can't sleep and you're sitting there doodling that cap.
Brad Sham, 105.3 The Fan. Brian, how long have you been thinking about and prioritizing being a head coach, and did this?
Jerry Jones is saying something. We got to do better. I'm glad he's come to that conclusion. Yeah, Jerry, you got to do better. Bottom line, you have to do better. There's no other way to slice this. You have to do better. Because if you don't do better, you're not going to win. Now, Jerry is about to say something right here that I thought was very telling about Schottenheimer and Mike McCarthy as it applies to play calling. Listen what he says here.
Himself, really. I'm not talking down. But I know one thing, one of us, I think Jerry, said, have you ever thought about that if we've kind of gotten over in this area of potential head coaching with Brian to some degree, the conversation he's referring to. And Jerry said, you know something, if we went that way, as much as we've gone down the path, there'd be some heartbreak here. There'd be some knock the slats out from under. I'm just giving you an idea of how the process was going as we were looking at alternatives of the other people that might be coaching the Dallas Cowboys and Brian calling the plays. So having said that, just to give you a little bit of insight, Brian, I'll tell you this. My lifelong dream was to get involved in sports and pro ball. And my master's thesis was the role of oral communication in modern day football. Had I not had that dream, had I been sitting there, I was 46 when I bought the Cowboys, had I not been sitting there for 25 years, every moment thinking about, my God, I'd watch that Lamar Hunt and he'd be up there with the Chiefs. While I was doing that, the same mind would come home from college and go out in the backyard with a stick and a ping pong ball and play a complete World Series by myself, hitting the ball over the fence. So that dreaming, if you hadn't dreamed about it, if you hadn't gotten ready to go, when that damn train comes by, you'll be grabbing air on that caboose. You have had to have thought and pictured yourself that way a long time, or you'll miss that damn train. You will. All of this was in the mind. That's all of this was there. And why is the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys?
Jerry, Tim Kalishaw, Dallas Morning News, back here in row 3. Appreciate the shout out earlier. Having said that, you know, since your last NFC Championship game, this is the 7th coaching hire you've made. That's a unique situation among GMs. Others do not get that luxury. How would you tell the fans again how this unique system is working?
Well, it makes it unique because I've been with the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys have had 7 coaching hires, and it happens I've been here for those 7 coaching hires. I'm not so sure, you know, average time a head coach coaches in the NFL is about 3.4, 3.5 years that they coach in NFL average time. I'm not for sure what it is with the general managers. It could be less or more than that, but it's a big turnover, especially the last 10 or 15 years with you there, okay? And if I could ever think, the story I just told Tim, I got up and I went to work and I lived on that hope and that promise, and I had a lot of gas. And my point of telling the ping pong ball and bat story was I can live in those dreams, and I live real good there. But I'm practical enough to know you can't eat those dreams. So you got to go put some hard action to it. Life is real. But boy, those dreams are real there too. I'm dreaming of the Cowboys playing in a game like the one I saw last night when the Eagles were sitting up there with those Chiefs. I'm dreaming of it. I will always dream of it. I've never quit dreaming about it. I want that.
Jane Slater, NFL Network. Jerry, to a lot of us on the outside, it did look like this process took a bit. What was the reason for that? Was there a point during your conversations with Mike that you thought that he would stay? Was there something that came up in those conversations that you needed to change? And what did he say, or some of the coaches that you reached out to, give you confidence that this was the guy that you needed, particularly given some of the criticism about some of the decisions and the coaching in recent years?
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I wasn't aware of any clock. Where's the clock? There are a hell of a lot more important things than a clock. Take a long time to do this.
Hold on a second. I want to get to another part. But it's funny. Y'all know that's Jane. Do you know that's Jane Slaughter Slater? Boy, the way Jerry answered her, shoot, Jerry said, I know who you are. Jerry said, you just trying to start trouble. Hold on a second. I want to get to another part. I like this answer from Brian Schottenheimer, too.
Coach Schottenheimer, I love the way that you've reflected, you've sort of manifested how you want to get there. We know that Dak's big on that as well. How do you want to be remembered when you leave the Dallas Cowboys one day?
Number one is a champion. And number two is someone that created one of the greatest cultures professional sports has ever seen.
Ed Werder, WFAA, back here in row 4 next to Kalashaw. Back with the Dak Prescott delegation. Brian, my question is...
So if you're a Dak Prescott hater and you hadn't seen this, get ready to cry your eyes out. Because Brian Schottenheimer, I think this is the part that he's going to talk about Dak Prescott.
Dak's missed a large portion of 2 of the last 5 seasons with injuries. It's going to be, I think, 32 when the next season starts.
He's a young 32.
What's your vision? You talked about how important the quarterback is, all of you have in these kinds of decisions. What's your vision for him going forward?
I think when you talk about Dak, number one, I've had the best seat in the house for the past couple of years in terms of the first year 1 as a consultant, watching. Literally, I remember the first day I was in the building, he came up and introduced himself, said hello, and we were just talking, and people that we mutually respected, and we talked about that. But, you know, being around the last couple, years, my vision for him is he's one of the best. And through the coaching that he's going to get, through the hours and hours and hours of time that he and I will spend together, he's going to play elite level football, and he's going to lead us to championships. And that's because of the way he works, the way he prepares. This guy prepares different. Ed, he does. He prepares different. This guy, I'll be coming down late at night and trying to get something to drink, and I just have to move around because my eyes are bugging out from watching video, and he's still in the building doing his, I guess it's hot, cold therapy, whatever that is. I don't do that, but we got the right guy. And working closely with him and these other players, we're going to win. And we're going to win a championship. Otherwise, why are we doing it?
Dak, you're sitting right behind Ed Werder there. Reach up there and squeeze him on his neck and show him what a little problem is with your health. Feels like.
I thought that was an incredible answer. This man said that Dak Prescott is going to play elite quarterback. And not only is he going to play elite quarterback, he's going to win championships. I've already told y'all, I believe 2026 is the season. 2026 is going to be the season. They're going to get players this season. They're going to get back to probably around 10 wins, maybe even 11. Season after this one, it's over. The Cowboys are going to make a run. It's going to be ferocious. You're going to watch the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to have to pay the piper. Howie Roseman has done a great job with these contracts, but Howie Roseman is going to pay the piper. They're going to probably have Saquon Barkley one more season. Y'all know how they do these running backs. They'll have Saquon Barkley one more season. Saquon Barkley will be moving on to someone else. They're going to lose some of these other players. I would not be surprised if they lose an A.J. Brown or they lose a Goddard, lose some of the defensive players. The Philadelphia Eagles defense, well, the team is so good that they're not going to eventually be able to pay everybody. This is how the game goes. This is actually the game. The Cowboys have actually hit their cycle now. The Cowboys have hit their cycle to where they've now shaken some contracts. Now you get to go back and recalibrate because you still have the quarterback. You get to go back and recalibrate, You get to bring in some players that's going to help him out because this is going to be probably his swan song. So now you get an opportunity to where now that you've gotten from under some contracts, you got a couple of new contracts, and now you got yourself in a position to where you can build a team again. So now the Cowboys get to go through their cycle of where they're going to be able to build their team over 3 seasons. And I think they're going to hit the jackpot in the next, not this coming season. I think this season is going to be the season that's going to bring hope. Schotty's going to outperform, of course, the 7-10 season. He'll probably win about 10 or 11 wins. They're going to come back the next season because they will have built a team. And there's no way a lot of those players are going to be walking because they're all going to be young players. And they'll probably sign some people to probably 2-year deals, maybe even some 3-year deals if they get somebody that's really dynamic. And they're going to do it in 2026. I do believe it. I 100% believe it. And now after hearing everything that they've been saying, hey, man, I don't know about y'all. I'm good with Schotty. I am good with Schotty. I am. Kellen and Big Mike are fighting for the Saints job. Jay Recruit, I hope not. I hope the Saints just flat out say, no, thank you, Mike. We've seen this story before. We've seen it. How can you motivate your team when Jerry undermines the coach? Just do your part, Willie T. Just do your part. Stop worrying about Jerry. Schottenheimer is showing you something. He can do it. He can do it with Jerry. Stop worrying about Jerry. Don't worry about Jerry. Don't worry about all that stuff. Anybody who's worked in some of these corporate environments, it happens sometimes. But when you know how to work and navigate, and one of the best traits that you can have as a coach or a manager, people overrate skill and ability. They overrate it. People get enamored by skill and ability. But the best of the best, they know how to motivate in every situation. You know what the situation is, and then you work with it. And I think this dude is going to be able to do a lot of work with this team because I think they got a lot of respect for him. Yeah, I'm with you, Roberto. He wasn't a team player. He wasn't. And everything they've been saying is showing it. I don't think he's going to get it either, Chanel. I think the Saints would be crazy to give Mike McCarthy the job. I'd rather see Kellen Moore I'd rather see Kellen Moore get the job and get fired in a year than let Mike McCarthy have it. No, thank you. Tell your boss I couldn't get it done because you didn't motivate me enough and see what. Hey, man, this is different. We're talking about sports. That's different. But at the same time, I'm going to tell you something, Cowboy Hater Herder. I work for a company, though. I work for a company, and they actually thought the opposite of what you're saying. They let go of managers. I mean, I worked in a company to where it was the ultra competitive company. And if there were managers who couldn't motivate their employees and their departments, they fired them. They literally fired them. They would get rid of them. This actually happens in workplaces. When a bad manager is over a store, that bad manager gets gone. Because when people start getting their evaluations, they start telling like, hey, man, the manager's no good. They get rid of him. They get rid of him. And everyone, you don't keep a guy around you don't keep a man or woman at your job, if it's your business, that can't motivate the employees. No, you get rid of them. There's more to a job than just telling people to do a job. And we all should know that to be true. Yeah, I love what Schotty is talking about. Schotty is talking about a team. That's exactly what Schotty is talking about. And I think this is one of the reasons why they brought him in. All right, guys. If you haven't, all 300, 400, and some of y'all can't do it because you're on other things, because I can see where the numbers are. If you haven't already, please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We have knocked 4,000 out the park like in 2 days. So now, hey, let's get to 5,000. Let's get to 5,000 here in the next couple of days. I appreciate all of y'all's support. And if you haven't become a member, please do. I'm actually going to work some things out through the membership. We'll be having the members-only live stream starting probably next month. I need you guys to help me to beta test some of these things, especially when we start talking about the phone calls. I want to get you guys' opinion on this stuff. But again, I appreciate you guys rocking with me. I'll be back today around 6:30. I'm pretty sure there'll be all kinds of things going through the news cycle about what people thought about this Brian Schottenheimer interview. I'm pretty sure they're talking now, and I'm sure there'll be more Cowboys news. So I'll be reporting on it. Got some great videos to do. I'm sorry, Stephen Jones stole the show. Stephen Jones done wrote a check. He better cash that joint. He better cash that joint, because if he don't, boy, people gonna be hard on him. I'm telling you, I believe so too, Blueprint. 2026 will be our year for the Super Bowl. I believe it. Yep. We finally gonna get to see it. I finally get to show my sons why I love this team. Yes, sir. Mighty out. He said, let's shop. Remember what Irvin said. Make that comment. Yes, sir. And we'll talk some more about Irvin today. I'm sure they've been talking about him on the news cycles. Gee, these pundits all say this quarterback and that quarterback are elite. But when you come down to it, only Mahomes is elite. Straight facts. Straight facts. There's only one other quarterback, Chanel, that I would say that is with Mahomes, because he's the only one that has shown the consistency of beating Mahomes. It's Joe Burrow. Other than those two, you can't even conversate with me. But when we talking about top 5, Chanel, Dak Prescott's top 5. Whether people want him to be or not, he's top 5. Remember, they gave Lamar, Josh Herbert, all these players in their home now. Yep. And the very quarterback that everybody's saying is no good is in the Super Bowl. I'm with you 100%. Mike McCarthy's going to get what he deserves. Nothing. He lied to get the Cowboys job. Facts. And found his way out of the job. Karma hit him, boy. Yes, sir. He out of here. All right, guys. Again, I appreciate you. Until the next time, let's talk Cowboys and we talk facts. I'll see y'all at 6:30. Peace.